It's time for Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. For the next 3 hours, it's high school basketball from across the Mountain State. Live from Marshall University, here's your host, Ryan Epling.
And as we are on now into the middle of February, we welcome you to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. I'm Ryan Epling along with James Collier, Bill Cornwell with you in studio tonight. We'll hear from Tulsa Lady Rebels head coach Rick Morrone a little bit later on. But we have two teams whose seasons ended tonight. That's right. The window for sectional tournament play on the girls' side began tonight. Now, many teams chose to play regular season games and won't get their postseasons underway for another day or perhaps early next week. But one sectional said, you know what? Let's go at it tonight. Let's jump ahead. So we've got, as I mentioned, two girls' team seasons have come to an end. We'll talk about that much more later on as we get through the course of the program. Also, tonight, the West Virginia Christian Association tournament's underway, in progress down in Beckley. We'll have some final scores from that as well. So not just SSAC schools, but also the Christian schools that are within West Virginia on the private side that are not SSAC members. And again, we welcome you into another Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. And James, when we're talking about basketball, we're talking postseason now. I mean, it's just the blink of an eye. Postseason and summer weather.
Yeah, we're not talking about practice. We're talking about postseason. And I did an interview today when we were talking about that, and I said, you know, it's hard to fathom the thought that we're talking about sectionals for girls. We're 10 days away from the guys. When you hear the term MSAC Night of Champions, that's what sets everything in motion. And it's hard to believe because it felt like 2 weeks ago we just tipped off the season. And while we have suffered through quite the winter storms so far this season, kudos to all of the schools for doing a great job of getting a lot of games scheduled, getting a lot of games rescheduled to be played. But certainly some of those schools have felt the repercussions of having to play in such of those, including at Woodrow Wilson falling for only the second time this season, but that was coming off of 4 games in, I believe, 5 days in which the Capitol got the best of the Flying Eagles.
A lot of mileage on the car.
There were a lot of teams over the last 2 or 3 weeks. Different parts of the state had different makeup scenarios going on. But there were a lot of teams that played what I always referred to as an NBA schedule. I said, boys and girls, if you want to know what the NBA is like, we'll play those 3 games in 4 days or 4 games in 5 days, and about half of them on the road. And you've got to look at it, and you've got to feel for it. And that is a torture test, but it's also a test to determine the toughness of a team heading into what started tonight and next week, and that is the postseason.
Well, the postseason's what everyone tends to look forward to, but we have a lot of great regular season games going on tonight as well. We'll get you a score literally in just a moment, but I want to tease ahead here. You've got a big matchup in the Big Ten right now between Robert C. Byrd and Bridgeport. That game's into the fourth quarter. And without giving it away just yet, we'll get you a score on that in just a moment. But, James, those two teams, Bridgeport with only one loss. It came at the buzzer to Huntington last week. And RCB has 4 losses. 3 of them were by basically one possession. And the other one was a double-digit loss to Bridgeport. But RCB tonight seems to be controlling pace again. And, we'll tell you right now, Bridgeport's on the ropes.
Yeah, Bridgeport's on the ropes and time expiring quickly for the Indians. But this is the time when teams want to get that momentum flowing. They want to go into the postseason on a positive note. And, we saw this a few years ago whenever we had the winter storms. It seemed like it canceled nearly the entire month of January into February, and you had some teams scrambling just to get 15 games in for the entire season. There were teams that went home, because of they didn't have legs. Their conditioning was out of sorts because they had some teams that didn't get in the gym for nearly a week. You can lose 3 or 4 months worth of conditioning in a week. When you don't get on the floor, you can't get in the gymnasium, and that really plays into the fact of one of the topics that we've talked about so many times through the entirety of this show, not just this season but all year. It's when you have that no school, no play, it's also no school, no practice. And when you get some of the schools that saw 40 inches of snow dumped on top of them earlier this year, we saw that. There were some schools that didn't see the gymnasium for a week, and you have to wonder, had that happened maybe 2 weeks ago, how much that affects the teams going back. Now they have enough room to start to reestablish, get a good flow going, but don't blink too fast. Enjoy the weather this weekend. Old Man Winter's headed back this way next week.
Yeah, right in time for the postseason.
That's about right timing for it.
Yeah, we're expecting to get another winter storm next week. But if you want to join us on the program, give us a call. 1-855-345-4709 is the number. Once again, 1-855-345-4709. You can also interact with us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup. And as always, visit the website, basketballnight.com. It has all of your information. Got a really nice received a really nice compliment on the website that since I don't necessarily have the direct things to do with it, I want to pass along to you guys. But I was at a ball game last night, and so I said, "Hey, I go to Basketball Night now, basketballnight.com. That's my main site now to find out everything.
Go-to place.
It's all there." So that's what we wanted to be.
That was our old motto, the one we started with, the one-stop shop for everything high school hoops in the Mountain State. And hats off to Marcus Constantino. He's the mad scientist that makes it all possible. And some of the things that he's been able to come up with the website and how much it has evolved since we started season 1. Here we are now almost through season 3. And it's amazing to see what he's been able to do and the tools that he gives us for the show as well, especially with the spreadsheet. It's kind of like Mike Stanley. You ask him for something technical, he makes it happen. If he can't, it doesn't exist. Right. Marcus is pretty much the same way with the website. And big hats off to all the guys behind the scenes that take care of us each and every week and keeping this show up and operational and trying to make our nice mugs made for radio, making them look somewhat for TV.
Yeah. Basketballnight.com. Of course, you can see the web stream of this tonight live as well. And I do, again, one more point before we do the scoreboard update here, is that those guys in the back make our jobs out here very easy. And it's not just the guys in the back, but also the folks upstairs as well. So it basically takes 2 floors of this building to make this show operate, and we use every bit of it. We appreciate all they do. But we know you want scores, and we've got our first scoreboard update. I'll get the boys' scores, and I'll turn it over to James for the first girls' scoreboard update here in just a moment. But right now, it's time for your first check of the basketballnight.com scoreboard. Looking for scores? Look no more. Visit basketballnight.com. I'm going to actually steal the girls and start there, and you can do the boys' games, James, because 2 girls' sectional games have already been played. Class A, Region 4, Section 1. It was Doddridge County defeating Calhoun County 64-38. The Lady Red Devils season ends. Also in Region 4, Section 1, Class Single A, Parkersburg Catholic defeats Wirt County 51-23. The Tigers season ends at 0-22. So Parkersburg Catholic and Doddridge County both moving on in the Class A Region 4 Section 1 tournament. Now, regular season games from the girls' side. Wheeling Central defeats Charleston Catholic 43-34. It was East Hardy defeating Moorfield in the Battle of Hardy County 45-24, the final there. North Marion, fresh off of handing Lincoln its first loss of the season this week. North Marion defeats Grafton 83-67. The Huskies are now 17-3. Princeton over Riverview tonight, 37-32. The Tigers 14-5. Riverview drops to 13-7, still having a great season. Westside defeats Scott tonight, 70-40. It was Martinsburg over University, 71-58. Also, a final tonight, Summers County defeats Independence, 88-30. Brittany Justice, 23 points tonight for the Lady Bobcats. Greenbrier East defeats Pendleton County, 84-30. The AAA Spartans get the win over the Single A Wildcats. Also tonight in the West Virginia Christian Association tournament, girls action, it was Wood County Christian defeating Greater Beckley Christian 56-39. James has a look at the boys' scores tonight.
All right, we'll start with Bishop Donahue falling to Cameron 63-51. It was Brooke knocking off Weirs 69-52. Wheeling Central over Payton City 67-42. Harler with 20 for the Maroon Knights. It was Chapmanville with an 87-70 win over the Wayne Pioneers. Fayetteville drops the Richwood Lumberjacks 86-51. Musselman leads Hedgesville 50-31. That game at the end of the third. Hedgesville 16-3 on the ropes with 1 quarter to go. Sissonville leads Herbert Hoover 31-24. That's at the end of the third. At the half, Liberty Harrison on top of Ritchie County 21-11. Wyoming East hits the century mark tonight with a win over Liberty Raleigh 100-74. Martinsburg on top of Washington at the half 48-12. Midland Trail knocks off Nicholas County 88-73. Mingo Central on top of the Scott Skyhawks 29-21 at the half. Morgantown moves to 19-0 to match the other team at 19-0, the Huntington Highlanders, at the top of the Class AAA standings with a 66-39 beatdown of the Wheeling Park Patriots. Notre Dame with a 79-62 win over Tucker County. Shady Spring defeats Independence 57-49. As we mentioned, Bridgeport on the ropes against Robert C. Byrd. It's 42-33. And with 2:45 left to go in the fourth quarter, the Eagles trying to hand the Indians only their second loss of the season. Tuck Valley with a 92-42 win over Valley Fayette. Hurricane picks up win number 8 over St. Albans tonight, 66-57. It was the Polka Dots over Charleston Catholic, 62-35. Cross Lanes Christian defeats Greater Beckley Christian, 58-47. In the third, Bluefield on top of Greenbrier East, 42-19. And Tays Valley Christian defeated Ambassador Christian 72-40. That's the first check of your basketballnight.com scoreboard update. One quick thing real quick. Want to pass along thoughts and prayers tonight to Charlotte men's basketball team. They lost their student manager, Austin Rainey. He was killed tragically yesterday in a car accident heading up to Washington, D.C. with a student trip. So Charlotte was here last night, headed over for a matchup with Western Kentucky Hilltoppers tomorrow. So thoughts and prayers to everybody with Charlotte on the way down.
Absolutely. And just in terms of what we just got there, scores that we were listening to, again, that RCB Bridgeport game, we knew that was going to be an outstanding game. It is living up to the billing right now.
And it just went final. Yep. RCB winners.
All right, so RCB beats Bridgeport. We hope to hear from Bill Nestor a little bit later on tonight. And we're also going to work on getting Alan Osborne, the head coach of Polka. We want to like to talk to him. So his team still hasn't lost to a West Virginia team now since the state tournament 2 years ago when they lost to Bluefield. And their 2 losses this year were in South Carolina. And I've been waiting to tell this story because I want to tie this all together real fast. When they went to the Beach Ball Classic in South Carolina, the Beach Ball Classic is put on at Socastee High School, founded by, not the school, but the tournament in part by current Marshall coach and Wyoming County native Dan D'Antoni. Socastee High School happens to be, when I was in high school playing baseball at Wayne High School, we went to the Hawaiian Tropics Classic my sophomore, junior, and senior years, which is loaded with West Virginia teams, New York teams, North and South Carolina teams, and Virginia teams that go down to the Myrtle Beach area in the Grand Strand for spring break. We played one game at Socastee High School, home of the Braves, so I've been there. One of the teams that beat Polka was Mullins High School, the Auctioneers. Played them in baseball. They won the South Carolina AA State Championship that year. They lost to us twice. Had to throw that in there.
Go tell that to Dan. Dan D'Antoni, I am. Certainly he'd love to hear that.
In fact, we went into Mullins, again, not West Virginia, Mullins, South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
On their senior night.
Okay, different Mullins.
Different Mullins, yeah.
Different Mullins.
We went to the Mullins Auctioneers. We went into their baseball field on their senior night didn't really know who we were playing in terms of we didn't know how good they were. We'd played them the night before and beaten them at Myrtle Beach High School. They had a guy named Wes McCall who went on to, turned out he was the South Carolina AA Player of the Year that year, and we beat them 2-0 on their senior night. It was their only home loss of the year. They went on to win the South Carolina AA state title. But again, they went 0-2 against us.
You've been waiting all year to tell that story.
I have. That is story time with Ryan right there. But nonetheless, we enjoyed it, and it was just interesting to see some familiar names show up on the docket for who Polka was playing at the Myrtle Beach Beach Ball Classic, because they played Socastee, and we didn't play against Socastee, but one of the games was at Socastee, and then again we played Mullins twice, and fascinating how small the world it is. The Auctioneers.
Oh, now that's a killer nickname.
Oh, they have a big water tower right beyond the wall in left field. It's a very simple looking place, actually. It's a small town, not unlike those in West Virginia, very calm. The only thing is it doesn't have hills or mountains right around it, but good small town atmosphere, and they got a really good basketball team, and a North Carolina commit who's down there right now named Felton. That should sound familiar, right?
Raymond Felton?
Raymond Felton.
That is not him, but
I would imagine there's some connection.
Yeah, that tends to be how it works out. But we're going to step aside, take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk more basketball Friday night in West Virginia here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
High school basketball's voice in the Mountain State. It's Basketball Friday night in West Virginia. High school basketball action in West Virginia is heating up as teams focus on a trip to the state championship in Charleston. Stay up to date with your local team and its progress all season long with Basketball Friday night in West Virginia for 3 hours every Friday night from 9 to midnight. Listen online or on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State. Hear sports writers, broadcasters, coaches, players, and your calls recapping your team's game. Visit basketballnight.com for more details on how you can become part of the show. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. And thanks to everyone that has sent us all the game reschedules. You can send your game reschedules by text, tweets, and emails. We appreciate you being part of all the people out there updating us on all the rescheduled games throughout the Mountain State. Send your rescheduled games via Twitter. Send it to @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. You can also text us 304-249-4924, 304-249-4924. And you can send us an email. Email scores@basketballnight.com, scores@basketballnight.com. Go to our website and check it out. Find out how you can connect with the show. A shout out to all our new Twitter followers. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. New followers include Christina Fox @kfox_bravado, Traquan Gibson, Lucas Haynes @Luda304, Coach Wiley @Alex1967. Thanks for following us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. If you love basketball, then there's only one place to be on Friday nights after the game. Basketball Friday night in West Virginia.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State, you're listening to Basketball Friday night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, James Collier, Coach Rick Morrone, and Ryan Epling.
2 out of 3 really isn't bad. I know I've used that one before when we were 1 out of 3, but this time Meatloaf would be proud. 9:18 on this Basketball Friday night in West Virginia as I throw out references that are way too old.
I was going to say, you just went against the age again.
I know.
You're doing that very frequently here lately.
I'm starting to feel old.
Well, that happens.
You're not my generation, and you're acting like it. That's scary. That's my generation. These musical illusions you're making.
I'm afraid I'm aging faster than my.
Well, here's a funny story. Okay, it's a story time tonight.
Right.
When I first started working with WFGH and doing football, I remember my first football broadcast at Spring Valley High School, and who was on the call with me but none other. the guy that I remember listening to as a kid on Key Radio.
Yeah.
Bill Cornwell, Key News. And I was like in awe because I was sitting next to the living legend. And now here I am sitting across from him, sharing a studio with him again.
You know who I called my first game with? Bill Cornwell.
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
That was 2005.
Bill, you feeling old yet?
All right, we've left Billy C speechless over here for one.
I guess I'm the mentor. I don't know.
I like that.
That's a good one.
We'll go with that. Yeah.
That might be a good series. We need to find someone to develop that as a series, the mentor.
A mentor led by Bill Cornwell.
Yeah.
You're fired.
Ask and you shall receive, though. The Polka Dots are 17-2 after picking up a win tonight over Charleston Catholic.
Okay.
Head coach of the Dots is Alan Osborne. He joins us now on the program. And Coach, first off, welcome back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Hope you're having a good evening.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we're having a real good evening. We got a W tonight, so anytime you win, you feel pretty good.
Nice win over Charleston Catholic, 60-35, and earlier this week you were able to knock off county rivals Hurricane, 61-49. Did that at home, and Coach, I've got to say, just from a results standpoint within the state of West Virginia, things looking very similar at this point to what they did at this point for you guys last year as well.
Well, we're really happy. We're, we need to clean some things up, but we're really pleased with where we're at and trying to finish on a good note here at the end of the year. We got to go to Hoover tomorrow night. That's going to be a difficult game, but Catholic had beaten Tucker County. He was 14-1, beat them really solidly last Saturday, and they came off with another big win off of Greater Becker Christian. They were really playing well, and we were able to defend them pretty good tonight. And second half shot the ball a little bit better, and so it was a good win for us. Anytime you can beat Hurricane County rival, it's good, a AAA school, and they got a solid team. So we've had two good wins this week, and hopefully we can finish off the week tomorrow with Hoover.
Well, Coach, let's talk about the makeup of this ball club in particular. Noah Frampton graduating, Luke Frampton taking a bigger role. Of course, Elijah Cuffey also. You've got two Division I caliber players who are getting a lot of interest. Elijah's already verbally committed to Liberty. And how has their role changed between last year's sophomores when they had a couple seniors who had been through the battles with them before to this year, where even as juniors, they're kind of in a little bit of a leadership role?
Yeah, they're more. They've taken more of a leadership role. Last year we had Noah Frampton and Christian Buckley, Matt Channon, three seniors who were three-year starters, and of course Noah was a two-time All-State player. But these guys have had to step up and be leaders. Offensively, Luke has really stepped up and become more active in our offense and scoring more. And Elijah's just been a really solid player offensively and leads us in rebounding and assists. So both of those guys are really good players. And Caden Meeks, the senior, has really stepped up his game a little bit. So we've got three solid scorers, and we got a couple of guys on the post who are big and can rebound and screen. A couple of guys that can come off the bench, give us good minutes, Sean Arthur and J.P. Phillips. So, we're really pleased, and hopefully we can get through these next 4 or 5 games and stay healthy and make a run at it.
Coach, you go back to you have Noah Frampton that graduates. Elijah Cuffey, one of those kids, he played a good role last season, but how much has he had to grow up this year and assume some of those responsibilities that Noah left behind when he left?
Yeah, both Elijah and Luke have had to handle the ball a little bit more because Noah he handled the ball a lot for us, and both of them have had to step up their scoring and increase their scoring output, and both have been able to do that. But and Noah was just such a great leader and competitor, and he was kind of a go-to guy, and he was a tough kid, and it's hard to replace a guy like that. So it's but our kids have kind of met the challenge a little bit here, and they've been playing pretty solid.
Coach, something that's always impressed me about your ball clubs has been your defense, and that's something that's gone through the years. That's nothing new. But I also want to talk about just the pace of play. You go on just back-to-back nights here, for instance, against Sissonville on February 6th. You beat them 97-66. They like to get up and down the floor. Then just 3 nights later, you play Scott, who puts you in a slowdown game, and you beat them 40-29. you've kind of had to play a little bit of every way imaginable this year.
Yeah, I tell a lot of teams have been real deliberate with us on offense. We like to get out and run and get the game going up and down a little bit. But, I feel very comfortable with our team in the scrimmage area. Our defense has been pretty solid, not having a lot of breakdowns. So, and we really got good size. We're starting 4 guys 6'4" better, and the Meeks is 6 foot. And he's an athlete. So, we can. It's one thing, really good thing about this team. They can play multiple ways, but we've seen all different kinds of defenses, presses and traps and zones and combination defenses. We've seen just a whole gamut. So, and every night we get everybody's best shots. So it's really helping us get prepared for tournament play.
Coach, before we had you on, we talked a bit about how teams around the state, both boys and girls, have had to deal with the weather once again, just like last year, and talk about maybe how you've had to deal with either compressed schedules or losing some time in the gym when you can't get into the gym on days when school was closed.
Well, I've got to be honest with you. We've been fortunate. We've been able to get into the gym. Our county has a policy if the roads are clear and everything's safe, they let us go. And so the principal makes a decision. So we've been very fortunate that we've been able to get all of our practices in. And then this game tonight and our Hoover game, this game tonight is just kind of a makeup type game. So this is really the only time we've had to change a game. We had to change the Sissonville game, but we've been pretty fortunate. We've got all of our games in, and we don't have a lot of weeks where we have 3 and 4 games like some teams do. So this is the only 3-game week we've had, other than the Myrtle Beach trip. We played 3 games down there in 1 week, but we've been really fortunate with that.
Well, Coach, Sissonville and Herbert Hoover are probably 2-3 in the Cardinal Conference behind you guys. You've beaten them both soundly, but I do want to ask, do you feel the conference as a whole, and Chapmanville Regional is pretty good as well this year, but conference as a whole, I think the perception is that it might be down from last year a little bit. What are you thinking, having seen it night in, night out?
Well, I don't agree with that. I think Hoover is just as good, if not better. Sissonville is just as good, if not better. Tulsa's much improved. Wayne's got a pretty solid team with Wickline. Chapmanville's very talented. Scott's not bad. They got a big post guy inside. Mingo Central is probably the team that is much different than they were last year. But I disagree that people say our league's down. I think it's been a pretty solid league, and we play each other every night. You look at the scores of the games, and we're pretty close. And I think the reason people believe our league is down because we had that Big Ten Cardinal Challenge earlier in the year, and the Big Ten won all but 1 game. But I think our league's pretty good, and I disagree with people saying it's down. I mean, I think it's a pretty solid league. And, Sissville's got a winning record. Hoover's 12-4, and they're playing tonight. That's a huge game, and so it's a pretty good league.
Well, Coach, again, you've got, as you mentioned, you've got a road trip to Herbert Hoover tomorrow. You end the regular season with 3 road games. You play tomorrow at Herbert Hoover. You play next week on Tuesday, I believe. Yes, Tuesday at Nitro. Thursday night. Am I a day off on that? No, I'm right. All right, Thursday night.
No, we play Thursday at Wayne. Yeah.
Thursday night at Wayne. So still a trio of road games before you get to the conclusion of the regular season. We certainly appreciate you taking time out to talk with us tonight. Congratulations on your win over Charleston Catholic.
Well, thanks for having me on, and look forward to talking to you guys later.
Hey, it sounds good. That's Alan Osborne. He's the head coach of the Polka Dots, the reigning AA state champs, who, again, have not lost a game to a West Virginia team going back to the state tournament 2 years ago. After a perfect season last year, losing 2 games in the Beach Ball Classic to St. Thomas from Georgia and to Mullins, South Carolina this year. We're going to step aside, take a break. We'll come back. We'll get you a scoreboard update. We'll also talk about some of the girls' sectional matchups that are coming up. Some games are being played tomorrow. We've already got a couple of games in the books tonight. Some teams' seasons are already over. It's hard to believe. As Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia rolls on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
There's absolutely no better place to be than right here. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Streaming video live from the studios at Marshall University. Visit basketballnight.com for video, audio, and the Basketball Friday Night scoreboard. Watch our live high-definition video stream by going to basketballnight.com. It takes just one click to watch. Listen online with any computer or mobile device by clicking the Listen Live tab. We want you to become part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family. We'd like you to become our correspondent. Update us on your team's reschedules, scores, and anything else you'd like to send about your teams. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Give us an update on your team's reschedules and any other information you'd like to send. You can tweet, text, and email. Find out how by visiting basketballnight.com. Special thanks again to all our affiliates carrying the show tonight. A shout out to all our new Twitter followers. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. New followers include Lucas Haynes at Luda304, Coach Wiley at Alex1967, Robert Lewis at Lewis8944R, Bearcat Nation, Michaela at Big Mac 3013, Kettlecorn at Dean Ketz, Trey Maynard, Bobby Foggin, They Call Me Jay Cronin, Noah Heinzman, Jason Wilhite, Mark Richmond, Mason989, Alex Blackenbecker, Jasmine Thiek, Tina Lane at Tina Lane 71, Jason Westfall, Coach D, Juan Life, Hunter Ridgway, Amy Beeman, Paul Humphrey, Angela Toller, Mr. Flattery, and Evan Cole. Thanks for following us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State, you're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, James Collier, Coach Rick Morrone, and Ryan Epling.
Ask and thou shalt receive.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I mean, this is incredible.
That's old school Meatloaf, too. That's not the remake.
Let me be honest with you. A lot of times when you listen to a radio show, it is so produced from a pre-production standpoint that everything we've gone through here tonight would have already been planned. We haven't planned that. They're just doing this on the fly. They're that good.
That's what those guys do. But like you said, it takes 2 floors to make this show work. But man, they make it happen, and just on a drop of a hat too.
I mean, this is almost like a New York level show. I mean, it takes multiple floors in a network headquarters in New York to run shows like this, and we've got it here in West Virginia.
We're not even in a New York state of mind, but we are in a basketball state of mind.
Oh, no. Yeah, well, we know what the bump back's going to be here in a few minutes now, right?
That was a challenge, indirectly.
That will be a challenge, yeah. We'll see how that turns out. Hey, I want to mention one thing before we get another scoreboard update, and we'll also we'll actually go 3 for 3 because Rick Morrone will be with us in just a moment as well. But something I just saw come across my Twitter feed, Scott High School, their manager, Flash Gerald, getting in on senior night.
All right.
Scoring his first career.
Love these stories.
That's awesome.
And
that's a feel-good story no matter how you size it up.
You hear a lot of those stories at this time of the year every year, and those are so special. That's great.
And it's just, it's a good story because it did not affect the outcome of the game. The outcome of the game was already determined, and they took an opportunity to give a kid a memory, and that's good.
I was watching a television show. My son has actually picked up and started watching on Netflix, and saw in a football game they did the same thing. They had a little boy. He was diagnosed with autism, and he was afraid of being hit. So after the ball game had concluded, they left the teams out there. They set him up. He puts his helmet on, wouldn't buckle that chin strap up. He wanted no part of that. But they give him a handoff. He's carrying that thing out there like a loaf of bread, but he takes it all the way to the house and scores. And I mean, he was on cloud 9.
Of course, everybody remembers the deal with the Nebraska. The spring game and the little.
Was it 2 years ago?
Yes.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So a lot of fun there, and a good memory, and tip of the hat to both those schools for making that happen. And And again, I'm all for the spirit of competition too. So I'm glad that they were able to do that in a way that did not affect the outcome whatsoever. Yet still a good memory. I like that.
And going real quickly, I've seen times before you'll see a player that they'll have a season-ending injury, an ACL tear or something to do with the knee, and they may be 2 points away from 1,000 or something, and they'll bring them out on the floor, position them underneath the basket, let them get that shot off because they weren't going to get a chance. Give the ball back to the other team. They go down, even the score up. It's just like having it 0-0, but it goes in the record books and counts, and I think that's a very classy move. A lot of people, they frown on it, but I think it's a very classy move because you're switching in between both teams.
And a tip of the hat to Mingo Central for this as well because it takes two to make that work.
Exactly.
So good job by both Scott and Mingo Central tonight in that one. Of course, we've got scores. We know you want them. It's going to take the scoreboard update from basketballnight.com. We'll turn it over to Bill Cornwell for the boys' score.
All right, let's check these boys' scores. First off, out of the Northern Panhandle, the Cameron Dragons pick up a 63-51 over the Bishops of Bishop Donahue. Weir was the loser last tonight to Brook, 69-52. Brook Bruins get the win there. Wheeling Central picks up a win over the Payton City Wildcats, a 67-42 win. Chase Harler, 20 points for the Maroon Knights. Wayne Pioneers fall to Chapmanville tonight, 87-70. Fayetteville beats Richwood, 86-51. It was Greenbrier West over Montcalm, 73-31. Musselman picks up a win over Hedgesville in an Eastern Panhandle battle, 68-51. Sissonville beats Hoover, 44-40. Big rivalry game there in Class AA in the Cardinal Conference. Liberty over Ritchie County. Actually, this is only a halftime score, 21-11. Wyoming East puts 100 on the board tonight. The Warriors beat Liberty Raleigh 100-74. It was Washington following to the Martinsburg Bulldogs 87-37. That was an ugly one. Midland Trail victorious over Nicholas County 88-73. Scott mentioned that game, gets the win over Mingo Central 64-49. Morgantown over Wheeling Park in a big way tonight, 66-39. The Mohegans get the win. Clarksburg Notre Dame, 79-62 winner over Tucker County. Shady Spring beats Independence, 57-49. RCB, game we talked about earlier in the show, a huge win over Bridgeport by a score of 46-33. Tug Valley whips Valley Fayette by a score of 92-42. Here's a game in the MSAC placement tournament. Spring Valley gets the win over the Winfield Generals, 57-48. That's 4 straight wins for the Timberwolves to do well here at the end of the season. Hurricane beat St. Albans in that MSAC tournament, 66-57. Polka, talked to Coach Osborne just a little while ago. His Polka Dots over Charleston Catholic, 60-35. Cross Plains Christian, 58-47 winner over Greater Beckley Christian. Bluefield beats Greenbrier East 64-47. Final score 72-40. Tays Valley Christian over Ambassador Christian.
Over to the girls' scoreboard we go. We start with the Wheeling Catholic Maroon Knights, over Charleston Catholic, 43-34. East Hardy over Moorfield, 45-24. North Marion knocks off Grafton, 83-67. Princeton over Riverview, 37-32. It was Westside over Scott by 30. 70-40. The Skyhawks fall to 0-22 on the season. The Tulsa Lady Rebels get a nice win over Clay County, 57-53. Gerald drops 40 in the win. She had 41 Tuesday at Logan. Martinsburg defeats University 71-58. Summers County bounces back with an 88-30 win over Independence. Brittany Justice with 23 in the winning effort. East Fairmont 69, Webster County 32. It was Greenbrier East hammering Pendleton County 84-30. Greenbrier East now 17-2 on the season. Doddridge County with a 64-38 win over Calhoun County. That is in Region 4, Section 1. And Parkersburg Catholic, the 51-23 win over Wirt County. That also Region 4, Section 1. And our final score, Wood County Christian over Greater Beckley Christian, 56-39. That's a check of your basketballnight.com scoreboard.
So again, you're looking at two girls teams whose seasons come to an end tonight in Calhoun County and Wirt County who fall in sectional tournament play. We're still working on compiling the entire sectional schedule. You would be amazed at how difficult that is. It's 2016, y'all.
Ask Marcus Constantino if he's mad.
No. Italian temperament, no. But I wouldn't call him mad. I just call him frustrated. And I think a lot of people are because it's very difficult to compile that. But
that info should really, at this point, be compiled and posted by the SSAC. I'm not bashing the SSAC, but
I think they're making a movement toward fixing things like
I
that.
do too.
With the,
I believe so too.
Hiring Bill Gillespie to kind of be in charge of their social media, plus additional duties at state championship events.
Yeah, he's going to be kind of a championships guy, from what I understand, which they need.
Well, and that definitely with the addition of Bill Gillespie, of the job that he did prior to going to that position, and he's a guy that I think he has the pulse on kind of where we are technology-wise and the things around the state that are being said, of knowing what needs to be done. And then plus, he comes from within a school, so he knows how difficult it is to try to keep up with things, scheduling and so forth. So I think he's going to be a great addition to the SSAC, and maybe they can continue to make those forward progressive steps into 2017.
Don't want to forget about our good buddy Rick Morrone, the head coach of the Tulsa Lady Rebels, who picked up a win tonight over Clay County. A nice win for Tulsa over Clay County, 57-53. And Coach Morrone, not with us in studio, but he is with us in a radio studio, just not ours, nonetheless. Coach Morrone, I got to say, when you're not in the call queue, we kind of tend to forget about you. Apparently they forgot about him in the back. You know what? You know what happens? Sometimes, and this is the one thing where we have a little issue, we can't communicate to him exactly when we're going to him.
He walks away.
So he might walk away.
Yeah,
he's probably walked back over to the hospitality room.
That's what I say. He's in the hospitality room scarfing down some pizzas or maybe a brownie or something.
I like how you said some pizzas. Just plural, I eat 3 pizzas at a time.
Yeah, that wasn't accidental. I hope Morrone is on there and he could just hear every word we're saying, and he's getting
getting chuckles at his expense.
Yeah. Right. Should we try Coach Morrone again, guys? Coach Morrone, are you there?
No, he may be there, but he's not here.
Okay, so we got a little bit of a technical issue. You know what though? Again, the guys in the back make this stuff work. I guarantee you we will have, I promise you, one way or another, we will have Coach Morrone on this program, and likely within the next 4 or 5 minutes.
But that was a big win for his team tonight, and I mean they were playing a Clay County team that's had a good year, coming in 16 W's at this point. That is nice play, and Tulsa get that W, and they're basically pitching around a 500 this season with a very young team. Coach Rick's got to be pretty pleased with that. Of course, hopefully we'll get to hear from him momentarily.
And Dina Gerald's had 41 earlier this week and a loss to Logan, and she has 40 tonight.
Dina's had some big numbers, and no doubt she'll be pushing for a spot on that Class AA first team, All-State.
Yeah, and again, she's a freshman, so
yeah.
That's
now here's a question to kind of pose out there, and this is going from the student sections. When you have a player like her that goes out and dominates as a freshman, if you get into February and the student sections are still saying she's our freshman, is it okay to consider her still a freshman, as in like it's not expected, especially when they're performing at such a high level?
She doesn't play like the perception of a freshman.
Exactly.
would.
She really hasn't all year.
No, I mean she's been outstanding all season long. We're going to try to get her on the program too. Here's the little in-house. We don't bet. We're just talking here. The little in-house. Do we get Morrone or do we end up with Dina Gerald on the program first?
Oh, I would definitely say Dina Gerald.
Yeah.
Morrone's lost. He's gone.
You know who's here? Rick Morrone, head coach of the Tulsa Lady Rebels. He wins the con. Hey, Rick, how you doing?
Hey, good to be with you. I could actually hear you earlier, but you couldn't hear me, kind of like me being in the studio.
That happens sometimes.
At least Rick showed up. You know, Rick, we were like throwing some bad at you there. I mean, you may have heard us say that we thought you were stuck in the hospitality room and somehow couldn't squeeze back out of the door.
Yeah, I mean, I heard the pizzas. I mean, not sliced. I heard like pizzas. But I tell you what, Ryan, I did hear you talk about the sectionals coming into play and getting going, and we kind of had a little taste of that tonight. We took on Clay County, a top 10 team. It was a great ball game, played in St. Albans, and we was able to get a 57-53 win and really kind of grinded it out. And Dina Gerald's really was kind of in the zone. She had 40 tonight. She had 41 at Logan on Tuesday, so she's really kind of stepped it up here late in the season along with some of the other girls. So great game tonight. Coach Ramsey does a great job, and so we're trying to get ready for Chapmanville next week.
Well, the sectional that you're in, you mentioned that game of Chapmanville. That's next Wednesday night at 8 o'clock at the Logan Fieldhouse, Willie Acres Arena. You've also got Wayne will play the winner of Monday's game between Scott and Mingo Central in that sectional. So that should be a really fun Wednesday night at the Logan Fieldhouse.
Yeah, I tell you what, that semifinal night is always exciting, and we're excited to be in there. We got the 3 seed, play a good Chapmanville team we split with. Of course, Wayne's the top seed and well-deserved. They'll play the winner, as you said, Mingo and Scott. They'll play the 6 o'clock game on Wednesday. But, Ryan, a little twist this year, at least on our side, because of the availability of Willie Acres Arena. The championship's Thursday night, so you've got a quick turnaround, especially the winner of our game, because you're in the late game on Wednesday night. You've got to turn it around at 7 o'clock Thursday. The winner is going to have to go into that sectional championship game.
No one pities the radio guy, but for this, first off, I live 60 miles of 2-lane road that's not straight for more than about 50 feet at a time.
Country roads don't take me home.
From where I live to Logan. Planning to go to Logan Wednesday night, then work Wednesday night, then go do public address for the Marshall women's game at 11:30 a.m. Thursday morning.
With about 4,000 screaming little kids.
Yes, on field trip day against UAB. Then go to Logan again Thursday night, and then go back to work Thursday night, and then we got a show Friday night.
So what are you doing? Do you have anything planned?
No. Nice easy week coming up. Hey, Coach, we're going to take a break. We'll bring you back when we get back on the other side of this break, as this is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, the Mountain State's voice for all things high school basketball. Felicity Van Gilder, East Fairmont Lady D's, Erica Bowles, Fairmont Senior Polar Bears, Madison Webb, Chapmanville Tigers, Dalton Gray, Webster County Highlanders. What they all have in common is they were selected by Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia as the Standout Athlete of the Week. Have someone remarkable on your team? Did you have an athlete make an outstanding play? You could nominate your team's players to become the Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. Each week, we consider nominees based on leadership, performance on the court, academic performance, involvement in the community, and volunteer work. Every Friday night, we select a Standout Athlete of the Week. Head over to our website, basketballnight.com, and click on the Standout Athlete of the Week tab. Fill out the nomination form, and we'll take it from there. We want you to nominate your team's athletes. Check it out at basketballnight.com. It's the Daily Hoops Roundup, part of basketballnight.com. Every day, we recap the day's scores just for you on all the teams in West Virginia. We send followers a tweet at midnight with a link to the Daily Hoops Roundup. You can also visit basketballnight.com and just click on Daily Hoops Roundup for all the day's scores. And we'd like for you to become part of our score reporting crew during the week, too. And if your team has a reschedule, let us know about that, too. Send us your team scores by Twitter, text, or email, and we'll make that part of our Daily Hoops Roundup Roundup. We want you to become part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family. On Twitter, follow us at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. You can email scores and reschedules for your team to scores@basketballnight.com. Check it out at basketballnight.com. It's the daily Hoops Roundup.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to Basketball Night in West Virginia with James Collier, Coach Rick Morrone, and Ryan Epling.
Was so easy living. 9:49 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We're almost a third of the way through this show already.
And asking you shall receive.
And
yes, New York State of the Mind was going
just
there.
Let it roll, baby.
And here's what I like, too. There's the newer version, the Empire State of Mind from Alicia Keys and Jay-Z, which is, quote-unquote, more modern. The classical, good song.
You go back to so many of the songs that you hear on Top 40 radio. I guarantee you can find a lot of those. If you dig back into the 50s and the 60s, you'll find the true version of that song. And you could probably understand the words.
They tend to be a little more audible, I believe is the word we're looking for there. But again, 9:50 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We will talk with Bill Nestor, WPDX. He had the call of Robert C. Byrd's big win over Bridgeport. We'll talk with him in just a moment. We'll bring back Rick Morrone, who Lady Rebels the Tulsa Lady Rebels defeated Clay County tonight in St. Albans. And again, a really nice win. And Coach, we talked about Dina Gerald's scoring the 41 the other night against Logan and a loss 40 tonight. She's coming off of a knee injury. I wouldn't necessarily say an injury, but maybe more of a scare of an injury to her knee. And Coach certainly doesn't seem like she's slowed down once she came back. That's great analysis from.
I think it's the best analysis I've heard out of him all season.
Wow, shot fired. We'll come back with Coach Morrone.
Can you tell I'm out of the studio next week?
Yes, yeah. Here's the thing: James and Coach Morrone will not cross paths. That's probably an accurate sound right there. You know what? Let's just go back to the phone lines of Bill Nestor, WPDX. He had the Robert C. Byrd win over Bridgeport. Big win tonight for the Eagles. And Bill, obviously, we set the bar really low for you to follow Coach Morrone there on this one tonight.
Yeah, guys, huge win for Robert C. Byrd over Bridgeport. Of course, a crosstown rival game, which means so much for both teams. Near capacity crowd at RCB on hand to see it. And just like the first game between these two, it started out with a defensive struggle. And Robert C. Byrd kept the defensive pressure on throughout the game. Their trademark man-to-man defense made the difference as they held Bridgeport to single-digit scoring in 3 of the 4 quarters. So really impressive defensive effort. On the offensive end, they're paced by All-State guard Luke Dyer with 16 points, 11 for Dante Spees, and 10 for the sophomore sensation Trey Junkins. So they spread the ball around well, found a lot of guys open for perimeter shots, shot the ball well from the foul line, and one of their best shooting efforts of the year en route to the big win over Bridgeport.
Just Bridgeport's second loss of the season. Robert C. Byrd beats them 46-33 tonight. And Bill, we talked about this last week. RCB's 4 losses, 3 of them were basically in the final possession. And the one loss that wasn't was a 13-point loss to Bridgeport on January 2nd. Well, the Eagles avenged that tonight at home with a 13-point win. So I think you have to put Robert C. Byrd. I mean, we talked about this a little bit last week. I know I don't want to necessarily repeat that, but again, I think this proves we kind of knew what we were talking about last week, that Bird's right there when it comes to teams in the postseason.
Well, I can agree with you completely. I think they are right there. And what's happened is, and we talked about it a couple different times this year, the fact that RCB had to develop some younger talent. And Coach Bennett, to his credit, has done that. Some of these guys have stepped up and continue to play good basketball. Then you look at some of the guys like Trey Junkins that I mentioned earlier. This sophomore is playing like a seasoned veteran right now. And if you can get that kind of production from some of these bigs inside, Julian Marino, another guy that's really producing in the paint for the Flying Eagles. if they can hold their own and play well inside, they've got the strong guard play to compete with anyone in the state. So I think that's what you're looking at right now. It's all coming into play. RCB playing their best basketball as of late. Look back to this Tuesday, very impressive win over a quality Philip Barber team, and then coming off of this win right now, so a couple consecutive wins, and they're starting to build in a positive way as we approach the last week of the regular season.
Well, it's another big week ahead. I mean, don't necessarily like to put one game back behind. We'll talk about the Bridgeport game some more in just a moment here, but next week games with Liberty Harrison on the road, North Marion on the road, and then next Friday night at home against Grafton, who's having a pretty good season as well. So still nothing easy to finish out. But going back to tonight, Nick Greeley has been putting up big numbers for Bridgeport recently. What did the Eagles do to slow him, or quite frankly keep him in check tonight?
Well, you look at what Greeley did. He had 1 point in the first quarter, didn't score in the second, and that's a tribute to Trey Junkins' defense, the sophomore we just talked about. Junkins is a real long-armed, aggressive, shot-blocking, physical player inside, and really does an excellent job, better than any player I've seen in the last 20 years in high school basketball, denying the low post. He'll step over top and makes it very difficult to get entry pass into a big man. So Greeley really struggled to get the ball inside in the prime position to score. And then in the third quarter, Junkins picked up a fourth foul. He was forced to the bench. Greeley had his best quarter of the game, had 3 buckets in that quarter, started to get a little bit of confidence, and at that time, Bridgeport made a big move. So going into the fourth quarter, with about 4 minutes left in the game, Bill Bennett, Bird's coach, brings Junkins back in, and then he slams the door on Greeley inside again. Robert C. Bird regained full control and cruised to the win. So really, it was a mano-a-mano matchup inside. Nobody started Trey Junkins, but I can tell you guys, watch out. He's going to be an all-stater. He's going to be one to watch for the remainder of his career. He did a fantastic job against Greeley. That was a difference in the ball game.
Bill, as you call this game tonight, and these are two sectional mates, and being neighbors, there's no real secrets between these two schools and these two teams. Did you kind of get in your head that this is kind of almost like a warm-up or a preview for maybe even the sectional final in a couple of weeks?
You're exactly right. You hit the nail on the head there, and that's what a lot of people are looking forward to. But you got to hold the phone because there's a team in Grafton that has a total package down there. Mike Johnson's doing an excellent job with that program. We've called a couple of their games this year. They've got a Musgrove kid who is in the running for the Player of the Year in the Big Ten. He had 30 points against Bridgeport a couple days ago when I was talking to Travis Jones, the voice of the Indians, and we talked about how Musgrove really can shoot the ball well and penetrate well. They've also got a huge guy inside in Newland. He's a 6'5", 235-pound stud in the paint. So make no mistake about it, this Grafton Bearcat team is going to be a handful. You talked about RCB, ironically, finishing up the regular season next Friday against the Bearcats at Robert C. Byrd. Those two teams probably will flip it back around and play in the opening round of the sectionals on Wednesday night at Robert C. Byrd once again. So if the Flying Eagles get that Bearcat team and can get by them, they're hoping to get the lock up at Bridgeport one more time. Of course, the big advantage for the Indians in that situation is they'll be the number 1 seed because they won the first game of the year. So they'll be playing that game at Bridgeport. That's a huge advantage because Bridgeport's gym a little bit smaller, a little bit tougher place to play. And so that home court advantage definitely is something for Bridgeport. Robert C. Byrd knows they can win there. It's just a matter of getting back into that position and getting that win. So by getting this win tonight, RCB gets a lot of confidence, and they also set up a rubber match potentially in that section final.
Bill Nestor, voice of the Robert C. Byrd Flying Eagles. They get the win tonight over Bridgeport, handing the Indians just their second loss, 46-33, the final tonight from Clarksburg as RCB. Now, again, just 4 losses on the season. That ball club now 14-4. And Bill, we look forward to talking with you, weather permitting, as always, next Friday night after that Grafton game.
Looking forward to it, Ryan. Thanks for having me on. Have a great rest of the show and a great weekend as well.
Thanks, you too. Once again, Bill Nestor, WPDX voice of the Robert C. Byrd Flying Eagles. We'll step aside, take a break. We'll come back in our next hour. We'll have another scoreboard update. We'll also talk with Dave Wilson of WHAR Radio in Morgantown. Morgantown's boys team undefeated. Their girls team has lost one game, and it came at the buzzer. It's good basketball time in Morgantown. It's a good night for a basketball Friday night in West Virginia here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday night in West Virginia, the Mountain State's voice for all things high school basketball. A special thanks tonight to all of our affiliates. You can listen to Basketball Friday night in West Virginia throughout the Mountain State on great radio stations including 94 Rock, WRLF Fairmont, Talk 92.5, WTHM LP, Ravenswood, Ripley, Power 92 Radio, 92.3 FM WIRCLP Spencer, 104.5 FM WASP LP Huntington, 97.9 FM WSPWLP Parkersburg, 101.1 FM WVWP Wayne, Knights Radio, 91.5 FM WRSG Middleburn, 106.7 FM WHFI Linside, 101.9 FM and 1290 AM WVOW Logan, 90.7 FM WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZLP Edmond, Beckley, 101.7 FM WYAPLP Clay, Marshall University's flagship station, 88.1 FM WMUL Huntington. Cable subscribers can find Basketball Friday night in the Huntington region on Comcast Channel 25 and Armstrong Digital Channel 204. Streaming online high-definition video can be found on our website, basketballnight.com, and on affiliate rsnsports.com. Listen online with any computer or mobile device by going to basketballnight.com and click on Listen Live. If you think you missed something on Basketball Friday night in West Virginia, you can now go to the Apple iTunes Store and download the podcast. You can find us by searching Basketball Friday night in West Virginia in the iTunes Store. Subscribing is simple and completely free. Podcasts are also available directly on basketballnight.com. Check it out and you can listen and watch all the past shows. Go to basketballnight.com.
This is Basketball Friday night in West Virginia. Heard statewide on great radio stations. Visit basketballnight.com to find the station nearest you. Get all the scores all the time at basketballnight.com or on Twitter at @hoops_roundup. Now back to Basketball Friday night in West Virginia with James Collier, Rick Morrone, and Ryan Epling.
As we just passed the 10 o'clock hour, 10:01, this Basketball Friday night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Bill Cornwell with you. Andrew Harrison, our special correspondent, with us as well. We'll talk Athlete of the Week in just a moment. We'll also talk with Dave Wilson a little bit later on as well. Sorry, Dave, I had to put you on hold for just a little while longer. But we know you're here for Basketball night, Friday night in West Virginia, because you want scores of games across the Mountain State. And it's time for another scoreboard update.
All right, let's hit it on the boys' side. First off, the Cameron Dragons get a win over Bishop Donahue, 63-51. Moorfield beats East Hardy, 73-69. Brook Bruins take care of Weir, 69-52. Wheeling Central, now 20-1. They beat Payton City, 67-42. Chase Arler had 20 to lead the Maroon Knights in that one. Lincoln County beats Buchanan Upshur, 68-59. It was Chatlinville knocking off the Wayne Pioneers, 87-70. Grafton Bearcats, you heard Bill Nestor talk about them a little while ago. They get another win. They beat East Fairmont, 71-41. Fayetteville, winner over Richwood, 86-51. Greenbrier West beats Montcalm, 73-31. The Hampshire Trojans, victorious over Frankfort, 80-67. Musselman, battle of the teams over in the Eastern Panhandle. They beat Hedgesville. Musselman gets the win, 68-51. Sissonville, big rivalry game with Hoover in the Cardinal Conference, and Sissonville gets the 44-40 victory. Still a halftime score, Liberty Harrison 21, Ritchie County 11. Hope to get a final a little bit later in that one. Wyoming East gets the win over Liberty Raleigh 100-74. Martinsburg beats Washington by a score of 87-37. Midland Trail knocks off Nicholas County 88-73. Skyhawks 64-49 winners over Mingo Central. Morgantown, as we mentioned, undefeated still. Mohegans knock off the Wheeling Park Patriots in a big way, 66-39. Clarksburg Notre Dame beats Tucker County 79-62. Shady Springs 67. Independence 49. Kaiser Golden Tornadoes gets a win over Southern Garrett, Maryland 61-58. Princeton Tigers 63-59 winners over Westside. Bridgeport is the game we just talked about with Bill Nestor. Falls to Robert C. Byrd. RCB beats Bridgeport 46-33. Tug Valley 92-42 winners over Valley Fayette. In the MSAC tournament, Spring Valley knocks off Winfield 57-48. That's 4 straight wins for the Timberwolves. Hurricane, another MSAC tournament game, a winner over St. Albans 66-57. Polka beats Charleston Catholic 60-35. Cross Lanes Christian 58-47 winner over Greater Beckley Christian. Bluefield knocks off the Greenbrier East Spartan 64-47. Final Boys score Tays Valley Christian 72-40 winners over Ambassador Christian.
Girls side tonight, Region 4, Section 1, Class A, it was Parkersburg Catholic defeating Work County 51-23. Doddridge County defeats Calhoun County 64-38. So Calhoun County and Work County, their seasons come to an end. In the West Virginia Christian School Association tournament, it was Wood County Christian defeating Greater Beckley Christian tonight 56-39. Other scores across the Mountain State regular season action. Greenbrier East, the girls get a win over Pendleton County 84-30. Spartans with the win. The East Fairmont Bees wipe out Webster County 69-32. The final in that one. Also tonight, Summers County defeats Independence 88-30. It was Martinsburg defeating University by a final score of 71-58. Other scores from girls high school basketball action tonight. Tulsa behind 40 points from freshman guard Dina Geralds defeats Clay County 57-53. That game played at St. Albans High School, and for the second time this week, Geralds goes for 40 points. Also tonight, in girls high school basketball, Westside defeats Scott 70-40. It was Princeton over Riverview 37-32. North Marion defeats Grafton 83-67. East Hardy a 45-24 winner over Moorfield. And Wheeling Central Catholic defeats Charleston Catholic 43-34. Maroon Knights get the win. That is your basketballnight.com scoreboard update. Andrew Harrison is with us, and this week's Student Athlete of the Week is Dylan Ward of Parkersburg South High School. And Andrew, I know you had a chance to learn a little bit more about Dylan this week. Another literally student athlete, 3.8 honor student, also involved in Fellowship of Christian Athletes and Church's Youth Group.
Yeah, it's when talking with his father, Ryan, his father said he's has faith. That's a strong part of his life, and he said being a part of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes is just another thing that he likes to be a part of to make sure that's still at the forefront of his life and still in his high school career.
So many seniors on that Parkersburg South team a year ago. They graduate. There were, I think 6 seniors on that team, and 6 of the first 7 on last year's team were seniors, if I'm not mistaken. It was something of that effect. So now Dylan moves into a starting role, and 13 points, 10 rebounds, and a win over University, which was a very impressive win for them, and also 4 consecutive double-digit scoring efforts. So he's also picking up his game on the floor as well.
Yeah, he's been working on his game in the offseason. His dad says he's been almost a workaholic and making sure that he prepares himself in his game in that way. He's also an impressive kid off the court in terms of this Parkersburg South Patriots team, in terms of they're part of this drug-free Clubs of America. And what that is it originates out of Cincinnati, Ohio, from 3 firefighters, and it's basically prevention against drugs and trying to stop students from doing that. And he's a team captain this year, and so he's had a big role in helping out and leading this team as the team as a whole does partake in this, but he is a guy that leads them in trying to help that prevention. They were tested before the season. and they're tested periodically during the season, and that's something Coach Fallon said that he wanted to make sure that his guys were portraying the right part of kind of life and not getting tempted by the drug side of things.
Well, so a lot of schools now going to that. Some county school systems, some individual schools going to drug testing policies, and obviously that's something that trying to make sure that they keep drugs out of schools and out of athletes as much as possible. And now Andrew has more with our standout athlete of the week, Dylan Ward.
Dylan Ward is an impressive senior guard for the Parkersburg South Patriots, and he is this week's Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. Since Ward entered the Parkersburg South basketball program, head coach of the Patriots, Mike Fallon, says Ward has improved his game each season.
He's grown dramatically. Since his sophomore year, half of the season, our sophomore year, we were still in the postseason. At that time, he was on the JV team, and he stayed and practiced through that period after the season and entered the state tournament. And I saw a lot of growth in him there. And then last year, we had him playing some JV and varsity, and saw a lot of growth. And then this summer, he came in and really, really worked hard in the off season, put a lot of time in, and come in and was ready to contribute this year as a senior.
As a kid, Ward was more of a track and baseball athlete, but when he entered middle school, basketball became a stronger love than ever before. Ryan Ward, Dylan's father, says the 6'1" senior guard made it a point to work on one specific aspect of his game this past offseason.
He really put a lot of time in the gym shooting. He put a lot of effort into defense and things like that, but he really worked on his shooting. He'd shoot a couple hundred shots every day, whether it be out in the driveway or going to the Elite Center here in town.
Dylan Ward off the court is an impressive young man. He gives his time to help young kids, a part of the Wood County Co-op program. And Mr. Ward says Dylan became a part of the program his senior year.
For his senior year, he goes to a local grade school and works basically as a clerk or secretary, part of a program where they help high school kids get into some job experience.
With a 3.8 GPA, it is no surprise that Ward is an honor student. He is a guard that rebounds the basketball with enthusiasm and may go run track this spring, becoming a two-sport athlete again. He is a young man with strong beliefs and conviction, not afraid to take on any challenge that comes his way. Reporting for Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, I'm Special Correspondent Andrew Harrison.
Thank you very much, Andrew. And of course, we will have our student athlete of the week, standout athlete of the week. I always call him student athlete. I think that's still okay. That's an okay slip. But our standout athlete of the week, Dylan Ward, we'll have him on a little bit later on tonight. We'll hear from Joe Linville in a moment. He is with WVOW, also has been a co-host with us. He'll talk about that Scott Mingo Central Boys game, and of course a fantastic moment that we talked about that happened at the end of that game. We'll talk about it later on. Right now we go to Dave Wilson, WAJR in Morgantown. The Mohegans defeat Wheeling Park tonight in a big way. And Dave, your basketball teams that you cover playing some pretty good ball right now.
Yeah, they've been playing good ball all season long. The thing with Morgantown guys, it's the defense that just frustrates teams to the extent that they start to make the mistakes. Now, in this ball game, right from the beginning, Morgantown's going with the full court pressure. Wheeling Park's having trouble getting the ball up the floor. And even with 4 players back in the lineup tonight, they didn't start Phil Bledsoe, Elijah Bell, Jamez Coles, and Trey Saunders. They've missed the last 5 games. They're back in the lineup tonight. Didn't start, but quickly got in. And even with those guys in the ball game, Morgantown's defense and pressure just really got to Wheeling Park. The Patriots only had 1 field goal in the second quarter. It was a blowout by halftime, and Morgantown just added to that in the second half. Morgantown guys didn't really shoot particularly well tonight. Just 1 of 7 from out beyond the arc in the first half. They did come back, hit a couple in the second half, but really, again, it was the defense creating turnovers, getting fast breaks, getting guys like Kenzie Melko out in transition, Steven Solomon, Nicky Solomon, Elvin McNally, the 6'7" senior. He had a big night with 16 points. All of those coming down in the paint tonight. So it's not pretty to watch. You're not going to save the film for an instructional video, but it's the way Morgantown has won all season long.
I think they'll take effective efficiency over style points there.
Yeah, especially at this time of year.
Yeah, Dave, we've been following Morgantown here. Of course, again, undefeated at the moment, and had a big win over Cross City rival University earlier this week as well. A 17-point win over the Hawks. What's impressing me right now about Morgantown, not just that they're winning these games, they're winning soundly. I mean, they're winning by double figures. They beat Capital by 18 last week in the Charleston Civic Center. Had a 14-point win over Martinsburg. Dave, this ball club's playing as well as anybody. Forget just the 19-0 part. It's within that 19-0, they're beating teams by a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. You go back, I think the only two games where the margin's been single digits was Wheeling Park, and that was clear back in January 5th. That was a 2-point ball game. And Parkersburg South, I think the Patriots there lost by 9. That game was in Parkersburg. It goes back to the defense, guys. Games will be close. If you look at the scores at halftime, and use the university games, for example, we're talking about a 2-point game, a 3-point game, a 5-point game at halftime. And in the second half, Morgantown ratchets up its defensive intensity, and it frustrates the opposition into committing turnovers. That's what happened Tuesday night with University. It's a fairly close game at halftime, and back on Saturday as well, a week ago, tomorrow, it's a close game at halftime. Come out in the second half, create a couple of turnovers. Morgantown goes on a 12-2, 14-2 run. Suddenly the lead's up to double digits, and they just continue to build on that. That's really, again, been the recipe, whether it's Capital, South Charleston, George Washington, Parkersburg South. That's what Morgantown's done all year.
Dave, one of the things looking ahead, it's with the 2 games left, Buchanan Upshur and Parkersburg South. How important is it Morgantown, is it okay to go out and blow those 2 teams out if they can? Or do they need a good challenging basketball game leading into the sectional play to kind of alleviate maybe getting a little bit complacent moving into the postseasons, in which one of those oopsie games can climb up and bite you and end up costing you a season, especially a run at a chance at a state title?
Well, they're going to get one tomorrow. They got a makeup game. They got to get on the buses and go to Martinsburg tomorrow to face the Bulldogs, which we have number 3 in the Metro News Power Index. So they're going to get that challenge tomorrow. And Parkersburg South's no slouch down the stretch. You look at the teams that South lost to early in the season. I think Parkersburg South may be playing some of its best ball all year right now with Gilkison and Day and those guys getting hot. So they've got some challenges here down the stretch, but it sounds cliche, and I like to rib Coach Dave Tallman about it. He'll tell me before every game, it's one game at a time. We're only looking at tonight. I know it sounds cliche, but after watching these guys, I'm buying it. They are buying into that attitude. So they're not looking ahead to Martinsburg. They're not looking ahead to Parkersburg South or Buchanan Upshur. They don't care if it's Preston, who has not been very good this season. They come out and they play their style of basketball, and it works for them. It's a senior-heavy team with guys like Stephen Solomon, again, Kinsey Melko, Elvin McNally. These guys have been here before. They know what it's going to take to get to Charleston. They've come up short a couple of times. They've been there before. So, yes, you want to see them challenged and pushed. I subscribe to the theory there's no such thing as a good loss, so I wouldn't say a loss would benefit you down the stretch. But they're going to get pushed, especially tomorrow at Martinsburg. That's going to be a hostile environment, and if you've ever been to Martinsburg, you know you've pretty much got everything against you when you go up there. So, they're going to get pushed tomorrow. Parkersburg South will be a tough game, and, I think Wheeling Park, with their 4 players back in the lineup, suddenly the region got a whole lot more interesting here in the postseason.
Dave, always a pleasure.
Guys, anytime. Don't keep me on hold so long next time, though.
Wow, he thinks he's on hold a long time.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, we'll do.
We'll give you the Bo Anderson treatment next time. You'll be happy to. There's already a technical foul.
Dave, but again, that's Dave Wilson of AJR Radio, voice of the Morgantown Mohegans. Morgantown has to be just downright giddy over how they're playing right now. We'll step aside, take a break, and when we come back, we will talk with Joe Linville, WVOW. We've also got Nick Cavill. They're both going to talk. Scott and Mingo Central tonight. Special moment happening in that ball game. We want to talk about that as Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
There's absolutely no better place to be than right here. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Don't forget the poll question. Check it out at basketballnight.com. Each week, we've got a new poll question just for you. It's another way you can interact with the show. Basketball Friday Night, West Virginia's high school voice. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup. At @hoops_roundup. A big shout out to all of our new Twitter followers, including Brian Jones at CRJonesWV, William M. Richards at Lefty1972, Pusha C at Cole Lambert53, J. Mark Gladwell at MB Wildcat Hoops, Travis Martin, Haley Butcher, Ty at Tyler_242424, Jody Basil, R at Taxi431, WVHS Sports, S. Boggs at GuardGirl76, and Wayne Young. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. A big thank you to all of our Twitter followers giving us schedule updates, scores, and updates on their teams. Welcome to the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family. You're part of the best basketball show in the Mountain State. It's the Daily Hoops Roundup, part of basketballnight.com. Every day we recap the day's scores just for you on all the teams in West Virginia. We send followers a tweet at midnight with a link to the Daily Hoops Roundup. You can also visit basketballnight.com and just click on Daily Hoops Roundup for all the day's scores. And we'd like for you to become part of our score reporting crew during the week too. And if your team has a reschedule, let us know about that too. Send us your team scores by Twitter, text, or email, and we'll make that part of our Daily Hoops Roundup. We want you to become part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Coach Rick Morrone, James Collier, and Ryan Epling.
10:20 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia as we roll right along on this February 19th, 2016. Next week we'll have a bunch of girls sectional tournament play behind us. We've already got 2 games in the books tonight. It's unbelievable how fast that's going. We'll also start talking about the boys postseason much more next week. But tonight, a nice moment in Madison. The Scott Skyhawks pick up a win at home over Mingo Central 64-49. But perhaps the bigger story was what happened at the end of the game when Scott manager Flash Gerald gets into the ball game and scores his first points. And he does so on senior night. Nick Cabell is the head coach of the Skyhawks. He joins us now. And, Coach, that obviously took a little bit of planning, but that had to be a nice moment tonight.
Yeah, it was. He's a senior, and he's been with us for 4 years. He's helped the basketball team, baseball team, football team. You won't find a kid in the school that has more school spirit than Cody. We all call him Flash. He got that nickname from the football team. But Flash, he talks at every pep rally, gets the students fired up. Really just an honor to be a part or to be a part of his life and got to get to know him.
Well, Rabbit Thompson, the head coach at Mingo Central. Obviously, this is something that you guys would have had to have worked together on. And just tell me how this came together tonight.
Well, I was selling shirts before the game during lunch at school today, and two of my managers actually got in the game, and one of them asked if he could have buy an old jersey from me. I said, buddy, you can have it. And then Flash wanted one, so I gave him one as well. And they wore it from the moment school let out until we had to start getting ready for senior night. And they're both seniors. One of them made the comment that, it's always been a dream to wear the jersey and play in a game, or to wear the Scott jersey and maybe play in a game. So I talked to one of my assistants, Coach Chester Mitchell, and we decided to go ahead and let him warm up, dress. Didn't know exactly how it would work out at the end. We was hoping it would work out. Never dreamed it would work out like this, but I did talk to Coach Rabbit, Coach Thompson from Mingo Central, and told him that, end of the game, if it was possible, that I'd like to get them in there and just let them experience that a little bit. And I knew that the student section would go crazy because they were chanting his name at the 30-second mark, wanting him in. And, when he got in there, he missed the first one, got his rebound, put it back up, and the rest is history.
Coach, sometimes we get caught up in wins, losses, things of that nature. And I think we're all competitive in our own way, but sometimes the big picture comes into focus in a moment like that, and certainly did so tonight. I have a feeling that that's the type of night where even some folks from Mingo Central might have been disappointed with the loss. I know it's been a tough season for them. Well, I'm thinking a lot of people left the arena tonight with a smile on their face.
Well, yeah, I think they did too. Wes Wilson from Mingo Central, who does a fantastic job at everything he does. I think he said it best. He said, there's a little bit more than just basketball tonight, and that I thought Coach Thompson was very classy about it, and his players were as well. How it played out at the end, I think everybody was had a little moment, inside of him before they left the gym.
Coach, watching the video, you see there at the end as he misses the first shot, and they make certain they give him a nice lane to let that rebound get back to him and get a nice free shot off. But it's one of those things. It's the wins and the losses, they mean so much. But when you have a kid that gives everything and it means so much to him to be able to be a part of that program, you see him go out there and the joy that scoring that basket for him. This was a night that he'll never forget the rest of his life.
No, he won't. You don't know. I mean, he thanked us probably 100 times after the game. And, we gave him the team ball, and all the players signed it. This is just a moment that if anybody deserved it, it was him. And as much time and as much effort and pride he has in our program, I mean, there's nothing I can imagine that could make him happier than getting a chance out there and then actually scoring.
Scott Skyhawks get the win, 64-49, but that wasn't the story. The story was Flash Gerald tonight. And Coach Nick Cabell, Scott, we definitely appreciate you taking time out to talk with us. And, from our side of things, too, thank you for a moment of perspective there for all of us.
Hey, thank you, guys. And I appreciate everything you guys do. You do a wonderful job.
We greatly appreciate it. Sticking with that area, in fact, Joe Linville, WVOW, he is on the phone with us. He joins us now on the program. And Joe, from your perspective, tell me about the moment tonight for Flash Gerald.
I'll tell you what, it was such a special moment. I'm disappointed. I did the PA tonight and I didn't hear any audio, but anyway, I've known Flash, through his 4 years at Scott, and like Coach Cabell said, you'll not find a kid that has any more school spirit, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, or whatever. And it was just such a great moment. He got a standing ovation, and everybody at the scorer's table, and was right there with him. I mean, it was just an awesome moment. You just have to know this kid to really appreciate this moment, and just sitting there watching the video, that's really neat. I thank you guys for putting that up there.
Joe, there are Flash Geralds at schools all around the state, and they are very special in the community because they bring a spirit and a spunk that maybe just some of us old jaded people don't have, and they really kind of lighten your heart when you see them, and when you see them they please you, and they try to please you as well.
Yeah, he is. I don't care where you see this kid, if it's at the field house, at the football field, at a local grocery store. I don't care where you see this kid. He comes over and he wants to talk Scott sports. He just a super kid. And he was also the homecoming king this year, so Mr. Skyhawk. So you can't say enough about this kid.
Sounds to me like he's having a pretty good year.
He's like a quadruple threat.
Yeah, he is. So. But anyway, let's talk about this basketball game, Roy. It was an exciting game in Madison tonight. Mingo Central just come out and really lit up the boards early. They took a 14-7 lead at the end of the first and a 29-21 halftime lead. What really sparked the Skyhawks, Andrew Day, junior guard, come out there and hit 3 threes in a row, just back to back to back. And it just got the crowd pumped up. It got the Skyhawks pumped up. And there was no looking back after that. And that was the turn of the ball game. And senior Tanner Bell had a big night, scoring 24 points. They ended up with the 9 points as all he scored, but that was enough to turn the team around. Alan Johnson had 14 for Scott. For Mingo Central, very disappointing night. These guys have struggled. Of course, Garland Thompson being the first-year head coach over there, and these guys was looking for an upset tonight. Dalton Hatfield picked up 13, and Deontay Joplin scored 12. It was just, there was a lot of scrapping going on. It was just a really hard-fought, a good high school basketball game to be at tonight.
That was a big win for the club. That was number 9, Joe, and they lost 3 out of 4 coming into this one, so they had to get a little bit of momentum going before the postseason started. They still have a game on Monday night against Tulsa at home.
Right, yeah, that'll on the schedule. I think it's listed maybe it's Tuesday night, but you're right, Bill. It's a Monday night game, and that'll finish up Scott as they get ready for that tough sectional. And by the way, Ryan, we still have a sleeping bag and a air mattress over at the radio station. You can come over and spend the night next week as you make your back-to-back trips to Logan.
Well, see, I appreciate the offer. The problem is I have to work in Huntington and the night in between.
You can just do a remote, maybe up in Logan.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that's got a helicopter that would fly you down and back. I
know. I could use some assistance in that, but hey, I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully get to see you next week at that sectional tournament, and it should be a lot of fun. And definitely appreciate you taking time out to call us tonight.
It will be. You guys have a good night.
All right, that's Joe Linville, WVOW, as Scott beats Mingo Central tonight. And again, Flash Gerald, early nominee for Player of the Night. Right now, we'll step aside, take a break. When we come back, you'll hear from our standout athlete of the week. Dylan Ward will join us live here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
High school basketball's voice in the Mountain State. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. High school basketball action in West Virginia is heating up as teams focus on a trip to the state championship in Charleston. Stay up to date with your local team and its progress all season long with Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia for 3 hours every Friday night from 9 to midnight. Listen online or on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State. Hear sports writers, broadcasters, coaches, players, and your calls recapping your team's game. Visit basketballnight.com for more details on how you can become part of the show. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. And thanks to everyone that has sent us all the game reschedules. You can send your game reschedules by text, tweets, and emails. We appreciate you being part of all the people out there updating us on all the rescheduled games throughout the Mountain State. Send your rescheduled games via Twitter. Send it to @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. You can also text us 304-249-4924, 304-249-4924. And you can send us an email. Email scores@basketballnight.com, scores@basketballnight.com. Go to our website and check it out. Find out how you can connect with the show. A shout out to all our new Twitter followers. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. New followers include Christina Fox @KFox_Bravado, Traquan Gibson, Lucas Haynes @Luda304, Coach Wiley @Alex1967. Thanks for following us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. If you love basketball, then there's only one place to be on Friday nights after the game. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to Basketball Night in West Virginia with James Collier, Coach Rick Morrone, and Ryan Epling.
10:33 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, James Collier, Bill Cornwell with you as we are halfway home on another edition of our celebration of high school basketball in the Mountain State. We'll talk with our standout athlete of the week, Dylan Ward, in just a moment. But first, it's time for another check of the basketballnight.com scoreboard.
Looking for scores? Look no more. Go to basketballnight.com for all your scores from around the Mountain State. We'll start on the boys' side this time. It was the Cameron Dragons flaming out the Bishop Donahue Bishop, 63-51. East Hardy over Moorfield, or falls to Moorfield, 73-69. That game in overtime. The Brook Bruins get past Weir, 69-52. It was Wheeling Central, 67-42 win over Payton City. Lincoln County knocks off Buchanan Upshur 68-59. Chapmanville defeats Wayne 87-70. Grafton a 30-point win over East Fairmont 71-41. Fayetteville moves to 14-2 in single A. The 86-51 win over the Richwood Lumberjacks. It was Greenbrier West over Montcalm 73-31. Hampshire 80, Frankfort 67. Musselman gets past Hedgesville 68-51. The Applemen move to 15-4, while Hedgesville falls to 16-4. Sissonville with a 4-point win over Hoover 44-40. Still looking for an updated score from Liberty, Harrison, and Ritchie County. Last score we had 21-11 at the half. If you have a score, please send it to us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup. The Wyoming East Warriors hit the century mark with a 174 victory over Liberty Raleigh. It was Martinsburg getting it their 17th win of the season, 87-37 over the Washington Patriots. Midland Trail 88, Nicholas County 73. But Scott over Mingo Central 64-49. Morgantown remains undefeated in Class AAA and high atop the standings with 19-0 Huntington. The Mohegans 66-39 win over Wheeling Park. Notre Dame gets past Tucker County 79-62. Shady Spring 57, Independence 49. It was Kaiser, the Golden Tornadoes, spin up a win over South Garrett, Maryland 61-58. The Princeton Tigers with a 63-59 win over the West Side Renegades. Robert C. Byrd knocks off number one team in Class AA, 16-2 Bridgeport Indians, 46-33. Only the second loss this season for Bridgeport, the other coming to the Huntington Highlanders. Tuck Valley 92, Valley Fayette 42. Spring Valley now winners of 4 straight. Behind Calvin Hinchman's 18, Chandler Stacy dumps in 16 as the Timberwolves pick up a 57-48 win over the Winfield Generals. Van with a 2-point win over Pikeview, 46-44. Hurricane 66, St. Albans 57. The Polka Dots still undefeated in the state of West Virginia, moved to 17-2 atop AA, 60-35 win over Charleston Catholic. Cross Lanes Christian 58, Greater Beckley Christian 47, Bluefield 64, Greenbrier East 47. Taste Valley Christian over Ambassador Christian 72-40. And our final score on the boys' side, West Virginia School of the Deaf 47, Marie Phillip 41. Bill Cornwell.
Let's check the girls' scores from throughout the state. First off, a battle of a couple of the Catholic schools at the state. Wheeling Central knocks off Charleston Catholic 43-34. It was East Hardy 45, Moorfield 24. North Marion Huskies over the Grafton Bearcats 83-67. Princeton Tigers take care of Riverview 37-32. It was West Side 70, Scott 40. Tulsa behind Dana Gerald's 41. Dana Gerald's 40 points. After 41 Tuesday against Logan, Tulsa knocks off Clay County tonight 57-53. Jefferson taking on an out-of-state opponent, North Hagerstown, Maryland. Jefferson gets the win 78-59. Martinsburg knocks off University 71-58. It was Summers County 88, Independence 30. Liberty, actually Webster County taking on East Fairmont. East Fairmont's Bees get that one by a score of 69-32. It was Greenbrier East taking care of Pendleton County 84-30. Now we get into postseason action. We have had a couple of games tonight in Class Single A, Region 4, Section 1, the sectional tonight there. And Doddridge County ends the season for Calhoun County 54-38. And while it was Parkersburg Catholic knocking off Wirt County 51-23 in the West Virginia Christian Athletic Tournament. It was Wood County Christian 56-39 winners over Greater Beckley Christian. That's a look at your scores on the girls' side.
Thank you very much, Bill. And we go right back to the phone lines here as our standout athlete of the week is Dylan Ward. He's a senior at Parkersburg South, a 3.8 honor student involved with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Had a double-double in a win over University, 13 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 consecutive double-digit scoring efforts in the past 2 weeks. The team captain also works half a day each day through Wood County's co-op program. He is Dylan Ward, our standout athlete of the week. He joins us now on the program. And Dylan, first off, congratulations on being this week's Basketball Night standout athlete of the week.
Thank you.
Dylan, tell me what got you involved first off in we've got a lot we can talk about here, but we'll start with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. What got you started in that program?
I just thought it was a good idea. It's important to me, and a lot of my team's doing it, and I just think that it's a good idea. It just started in South this year, so I've tried to become a part of it.
Dylan, talk about the Wood County Co-op program. You get an opportunity to go to work for half a day each day. How do you translate what you learn of having the responsibility of keeping a job, of being able to also take care of what you need to do in the classroom, as well as being able to translate that over to the basketball court?
It's the first time I've had a job, so it's different, and you got to maintain all three things, just working and school and basketball.
Tell me about the co-op program. Exactly what does that consist of in terms of half of your day each day?
Just half of the day I go to elementary school and I just help out in the office. I take care of a lot of stuff there, and I'm just basically another secretary there for half the day. So.
Last year, Parkersburg South, your basketball team, state runners-up, and very senior-heavy group a year ago. Now this year, still having a good season, and I know coming off of a couple of tough games, but still 13-6 on the season, doing very well for this year, and had a big win over Parkersburg just a couple of nights ago. Tell me about transitioning, though, into a starting role and seeing that change after being behind such a strong group of guys a year ago.
It's a lot different than last year. Last year we had a lot of good seniors, and this year we have a lot of people that haven't had as much experience with varsity, so it's been a big difference. And at first, in the season, we struggled a little bit, but I think we're getting a lot better now and learning to play together better. So we're doing a lot better than at the beginning.
Dylan, staying on the basketball court, but stepping away from your work with Parkersburg, tell me about some one-on-one matchups with your dad. We've had some reports you've not had a favorable outcome to the old man.
Oh, he hasn't beaten me in a while now.
Well, and I know.
I don't even remember the last time he has.
And Dylan, I know that life had to be a lot easier around the campus of Parkersburg South this week, because I did notice that you did knock off the Big Reds this week. And in my experience with both the Big Reds and your high school, that there's no love lost. So I know that life's been very nice at Parkersburg South the last couple of days.
Yeah, it has. It's always a huge game. There's just no seats available, like in either gym when we play them. It's a huge game for us, and it's about like sectional seating too. So I'm just happy we won.
And you guys have a really tough road next week. You got a very good GW team you're playing. Of course, you're taking on Morgantown, still undefeated.
Yeah, we've been preparing already for next week. It's going to be a big week for us.
Dylan, congratulations on being our standout athlete of the week, and we wish you guys the best of luck over the course of the next week as well.
All right. Thank you.
That's Dylan Ward, a senior at Parkersburg South High School with the Patriots, and this week's BasketballNight.com Standout Athlete of the Week. When we come back, we're going to hear from Dina Gerald. She scored 41 points tonight in Tulsa, 40 points tonight, her second 40-plus point game of the week. And Tulsa's win over Clay County tonight. Also, we'll talk with Chris Kidd at WVOW Radio. He had the Chapmanville Regional win over Wayne. We'll talk with both of them when Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia returns here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
There's absolutely no better place to be than right here. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Streaming video live from the studios at Marshall University. Visit basketballnight.com for video, audio, and the Basketball Friday Night scoreboard. Watch our live high-definition video stream by going to basketballnight.com. It takes just one click to watch. Listen online with any computer or mobile device by clicking the Listen Live tab. We want you to become part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family. We'd like you to become our correspondent. Update us on your team's reschedules, scores, and anything else you'd like to send about your teams. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup. @hoops_roundup. Give us an update on your team's reschedules and any other information you'd like to send. You can tweet, text, and email. Find out how by visiting basketballnight.com. Special thanks again to all our affiliates carrying the show tonight. A shout out to all our new Twitter followers. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. New followers include Lucas Haynes at Luda304, Coach Wiley at Alex1967, Robert Lewis at Lewis8944R, Bearcat Nation, Michaela at Big Mac 3013, Kettlecorn at Dean Ketz, Trey Maynard, Bobby Foggin, They Call Me Jay, Jay Cronin, Noah Heinzman, Jason Wilhite, Mark Richmond, Mason989, Alex Blackenbecker, Jasmine Thiek, Tina Lane at Tina Lane 71, Jason Westfall, Coach D, One Life, Hunter Ridgway, Amy Beeman, Paul Humphrey, Angela Toller, Mr. Flattery, and Evan Cole. Thanks for following us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Coach Rick Morrone, James Collier, and Ryan Epling.
10:46 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Bill Cornwell, James Collier with you tonight. Glad to have you along wherever you may be listening. Want to give you one bit of advice, though, if you're heading out onto I-64 eastbound, wanting to go through Charleston. Don't. It shut down at the 57-mile marker after
Just
a
don't.
three-vehicle crash.
Isn't that like east of the state capitol, if I'm not mistaken?
No, that is west of the state capitol. That's near McCorkle.
Okay.
The McCorkle interchange before Oakwood Road, which is 119.
Okay.
So it's west of that. So if you're going into Charleston from the west, going eastbound.
Okay.
Shut down right before you get into Charleston, between South Charleston and Charleston.
And Ryan, before we get back into the show, a big hello to John C. He's listening to us down in Louisville, Kentucky. So he sent out a big congrats to the Skyhawks tonight with the win over the Miners. So a big hello down to Louisville, my old hometown. So,
you know, people listen to this show from all over the place, and it's fantastic that they do so. We definitely appreciate.
You know, I would almost bet. You know, like you said, people listening all the way. But I'd say there's probably somebody up around Michigan that may be even having a blue evening tonight. So
that's very, very true. You know, back to basketball tonight, and the Tulsa Lady Rebels now 11-11. They even their record after a very nice win over a good Clay County team, 57-53. Lady Rebels get the win at St. Albans High School against Clay County. And in that ball game, Dina Gerald scores 40 points. It's the second time this week that she had scored 40. She joins us now on the program. And first off, Dina, congratulations on the win tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Your ball game tonight, 40 points against a very good Clay County team. I know that's a team that if you guys can get out of the sectional, that's a team that could be a regional opponent, could be a barrier to the state tournament. But just tell me about what went right for you to score 40 tonight.
Well, I couldn't do it without my teammates. They pulled down 31 rebounds, our post players did, and they got me the ball out down the floor, and we was able to spread it out and get a lot of fast breaks.
So tonight you get the win over Clay County. And earlier this week, in a very tough loss to Logan, you had 41 in that game. You've been scoring 25 to 28 a night. What has been the difference between scoring in the upper 20s every night and then now hitting the 40-point mark twice in 1 week?
Well, my teammates and me, earlier in the season when we were not doing very great, we got together. We decided what our weaknesses and strengths were, and our coach, Rick Morrone, he got us together to see what we could improve in, and we just kept building off of it since then. We were struggling with man-to-man defense earlier in the season, but now that we've picked it up, we've been able to create steals and fast breaks, and it's able to help us score more during the game.
Dina, talk about those strengths that you acknowledged in your system, especially offensively. What is it about Coach Morrone's system that has really played itself well to your skills to allow you to go out and succeed like you have this season?
Well, he allows me to, be a captain, which I'm really thankful of. I respect him a lot, as a coach, and he's really a father figure to me as well. He's really able to put me in positions to where he knows I can score. He knows where I'm at my best at and where my weaknesses are, and also my teammates as well. And he puts us all in positions where we can do our best and do best for our team.
Dina, when we first saw your scoring, your stats this evening, and of course the stats you've had the last two games, we were kind of talking about the fact that, it may say that in the program that you're a freshman, but after the numbers you put up this year and the results you've gotten you feel like you've kind of gone beyond the tag freshman and you've really kind of advanced in your game.
Well, I just try to get my teammates involved as well. I couldn't do it without them either, and not without Coach Morrone. He makes sure that even though we're a young team, he treats us as though we're all seniors, and he includes us all in leading our team to a victory.
So, Dana, does the student section, when you get going, do they still ring out the cheer, "She's our freshman," whenever you get going good?
Yeah, they do some. They can get pretty wild.
One last question for you, Dean. I know you had to miss a game last week, had a tweak in your knee, and I know there was some concern about how it was. I know Coach Morrone even told me it really bothered her that she couldn't play that one game that you missed against Herbert Hoover. But you've come back from that, and if anything, you've increased your scoring. I presume the knee feeling pretty good.
Yeah, it's feeling a lot better actually, as you can tell. He really put me in a position where that that I could decide whether I could play or not. The doctors said I was allowed to play, but I didn't want to take a chance on risking the knee injury and be out for the rest of the season. And I think I made the right choice to sit and see how things go through practice through the week and just take it easy.
Dina, once again, congratulations on the Lady Rebels win tonight over Clay County, and certainly wish you the best of luck as postseason play begins for you guys next week.
Thank you, sir.
All right, that's Dina Geralds, freshman at Tulsa High School, 40 points tonight in the Lady Rebels win over Clay County. We go back to the phone lines. Chris Kidd, WVOW in Logan. He had a high-scoring game tonight between Chapmanville Regional and Wayne. The Tigers getting the win, and Chris, a lot of points scored tonight.
Yeah, that game was frenetic from the start of it. It just was up and down, and Chapmanville and Wayne. It was very tight there in the first quarter, 23-21, and Chapmanville just started to pull away in the second quarter. Chapmanville
they didn't hit any 3-pointers against Sissonville on Tuesday night, and then finally started to get going tonight. But you saw a lot of full court pressure back and forth, a lot of cherry picking on both sides. Both teams able to get some easy baskets, but Chapmanville was really helped tonight by Jordan Witt. They had senior night tonight at Chapmanville, and he's the only senior on the team, and he put up a career high 26 points tonight. Wayne was able to keep up for the most part. They got in some foul trouble, had Devin Hall get in foul trouble, and had a few others get in foul trouble as well. But, Chapmanville just really attacked on the inside a lot in the second half, and, Witt was really the spark plug that helped them. And, we talked to him after the game, and he was really adamant about wanting to do well on his senior night. But it was a fun game to announce anyway. A lot of people have been talking about the type of style Brad Napper was going to bring back to Chapmanville, seeing as he played with Harts back in the 1990s when they were still at school. And, tonight you got a nice heavy dose of that.
Well, a good up-and-down game, as you mentioned, and, of course, Chapmanville getting the win. And just looking through, we're allowed to look ahead because we aren't players, but Chapmanville Regional 11-8. Scott also a team that's 9-12, but those two teams are the Quarter G rivalry is a great rivalry, obviously. But that entire section, to me, seems like anybody could get hot and win it.
Well, right now it's kind of the way everybody's looking at it. In my opinion, I feel like the other section is definitely the deepest in that region with Polka, Herbert Hoover, Sissonville. Chapmanville went up to Sissonville. They split with them this year. They beat them at home by 10, and then they lost up there by 11. Chapmanville did beat Herbert Hoover in the first game of the season for Chapmanville, but they still have a rematch with them next Friday. But I don't know. It's just it looks like with Hoover and Sissonville sitting there, everybody obviously kind of pencils Polka in automatically, but with Hoover and Sissonville sitting there, it's going to be tough for anybody from this section to get to Charleston. I'm not saying it's impossible by any stretch because Tulsa's got a very strong team. Scott's shown that whenever they're on their game, they can be very difficult to deal with. And even Chapmanville, they've had a lot of great spurts this season. It's just from where they're so young, there can sometimes be some inconsistencies. But, even with the Wayne and Mingo Central, Mingo Central's had a win over a sectional rival this year, even though they've really struggled. Wayne's been able to knock off Scott by 1 point this year and almost came back from 20-plus down in the first game against Chapmanville and beat them. So I don't think anything's sewn up in that sectional whenever that starts in a couple of weeks. But right now, I think tomorrow night's game with Chapmanville and Tulsa, that's a makeup game. It's supposed to be the first game of the year, and here we are near late February, and we're going to get it in now. But I think that'll say a lot. I think Tulsa's definitely in the driver's seat to be the top seed in the section. If they beat Chapmanville, then they would have a season sweep over the Tigers. I know they at least won one over Scott earlier this year. I'm not sure if they had the return matchup yet, but I think that Tulsa is looking like the 1 seed. But if Chapmanville could win tomorrow night, that might place a little bit of doubt in some of the voters whenever they get ready to seed next week, because Chapmanville would have a split with them. They would have those wins over Sissonville and Herbert Hoover. But Tulsa seems like they might be the one that looks like Scott and Chapmanville might face off in that 2-3 in that section.
Chris Kidd, always a pleasure, buddy. Thanks for calling in tonight.
Definitely, man. No problem.
All right, that's Chris Kidd, WVOW Radio, Chapmanville Regional, getting the 87-70 win over Wayne. Right back to the phone lines, Wes McKinney, WAEY. He calls Princeton Tiger basketball, and the Tigers tonight taking on West Side, and Wes, a nice win for Princeton.
Yeah, guys, Princeton snaps a 5-game losing streak by beating the Renegades of Westside 63-59, and really the difference in the game was Princeton had a little bit more size than the Renegades. They also got in foul trouble, did Westside in the first half. It forced them to play small, and Princeton really took advantage of that size and of the foul trouble. The Renegades battled all night in the third quarter, outscored them by 10 in the third quarter, had a 5-point lead going into the fourth. Back and forth action there early on in the fourth, but Princeton hit some free throws down the stretch, made a couple more plays, and then the 5-game losing streak, which seems like it dates back to forever ago, because counting tonight, guys, Princeton only played 8 games in the calendar year of 2016, and they'd only won 1 game before tonight this calendar year. So big win for Princeton going forward, heading into the stretch of next week.
Has that, Wes, that problem of having so few contests and just not getting on the court and gelling, has that been part of the problem for Coach Gillard and the team?
Yeah, Bill, I think it has been. Like Princeton, 3-4 minutes into the game, they didn't have a point on the board, and they were a little bit out of rhythm. You could tell Westside was pressing early, and they just wasn't real sure how to fill out the press. And I think some of that, I know most of these kids have played together, since elementary school, but you could tell that they just weren't quite gelling together early on tonight. I think that's a byproduct of not playing a ton of games. I know they had about a 2-week layoff before they played last night against Pikeview, and earlier this year they had a 12-day layoff in the middle of January. So I think that playing only 15 games up to this point has really had an effect on the Tigers.
Well, Wes, we always appreciate you taking time out to talk with us, and coming up ahead for Princeton, game tomorrow at home with Shady Spring. Valley Fayette took one on the chin tonight from Tug Valley, and you guys play them Monday. Just another busy week, weather permitting.
Actually, guys, that Shady Spring game, and something is just really weird. The Shady Spring game has actually been moved to Monday, to Wednesday night, and will be the front end of a doubleheader at Princeton. Princeton will play Shady Spring at 4:00 on Monday afternoon or Wednesday, I should say. I keep saying Monday. We'll play Shady Spring Wednesday afternoon at 4:00, and then following that game will be the sectional game in girls between Princeton and Woodrow Wilson. So busy day of hoops next Wednesday at Princeton Senior High School. But back to your point there, Ryan, 3 very winnable games for the Tigers next week, starting with Valley Fayette on Monday, Shady Spring on Wednesday, and then the other big rivalry that will be Princeton and Bluefield down to Brush Fork Armory, and Princeton will be looking for the season sweep there. And if Princeton can get 3 wins next week, they'd be 10-8 heading into sectional play with 4 straight wins, be feeling really good about themselves after a 5-game losing streak here over the past 2, 3, 4 weeks.
Wes, always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Take care, guys.
All right, that's Wes McKinney, WAEY Radio. Princeton gets the win tonight over Westside. We'll step aside, take a break. 2 hours down, 1 to go. We're with you till midnight here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, the Mountain State's voice for all things high school basketball. A special thanks tonight to all of our affiliates. You can listen to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia throughout the Mountain State on great radio stations including 94 Rock, WRLF Fairmont, Talk 92.5, WTHM LP, Ravenswood, Ripley, Power 92 Radio, 92.3 FM WIRC-LP Spencer, 104.5 FM WASP LP Huntington, 97.9 FM WSPWLP Parkersburg, 101.1 FM WVWP Wayne, Knights Radio, 91.5 FM WRSG Middleburn, 106.7 FM WHFI Linside, 101.9 FM and 1290 AM WVOW Logan, 90.7 FM WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZLP Edmond, Beckley, 101.7 FM WYAPLP Clay, Marshall University's flagship station, 88.1 FM WMUL Huntington. Cable subscribers can find Basketball Friday Night in the Huntington region on Comcast Channel 25 and Armstrong Digital Channel 204. Streaming online high-definition video can be found on our website, basketballnight.com, and on affiliate rsnsports.com. Listen online with any computer or mobile device by going to basketballnight.com and click on Listen Live. If you think you missed something on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, you can now go to the Apple iTunes Store and download the podcast. You can find us by searching Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia in the iTunes Store. Subscribing is simple and completely free. Podcasts are also available directly on basketballnight.com. Check it out and you can listen and watch all the past shows. Go to basketballnight.com.
This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Heard statewide on great radio stations. Visit basketballnight.com to find the station nearest you. Get all the scores all the time at basketballnight.com or on Twitter at @hoops_roundup. Now back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with James Collier, Rick Morrone, and Ryan Epling.
11:04 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Bill Cornwell, James Collier with you. Happy to have you along wherever you may be listening, be it online, basketballnight.com, or on one of our 14, 15. How many affiliates are we at now?
14, I believe. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I think the last number I heard was 14.
And growing.
Hell yeah. We're ready to grow more, and I believe that the technology is about to allow us to do that. One of the pieces of the puzzle that we needed to work out, I think that happened about 3 weeks ago. So hopefully we can expand a few new stations right before we get ready for state tournament time.
And if you're listening online and want this show carried on your local radio station, give them a call, have them get in touch with us. Right now, we want to cover basketball scores. It's time for a check of the basketballnight.com scoreboard.
Looking for scores, look no more. Go to basketballnight.com for all of your scores from around the Mountain State. We'll start on the boys. Cameron over Bishop Donahue, 63-51. It was Moorfield with a win in overtime over East Hardy, 73-69. Petersburg knocks off Pendleton County, 75-64. Meadow Bridge, a one-point winner over Tigers Valley, 52-51. The Brook Bruins victorious over Weir, 69-52. Wheeling Central over Wheeling Central. I'm trying to get this one. Wheeling Central Catholic.
There's Wheeling Central Catholic. The one you're messing up with is Steubenville Catholic Central Ohio.
There we go.
Which is the only one that's backward that I know.
There we go. They win tonight, 67-42. Lincoln County 68, Buchanan Upshur 59. It was Chapmanville with an 87-70 win over the Wayne Pioneers. Grafton with a 30-point win over East Fairmont, 71-41. Fayetteville victorious over Richwood, 86-51. Greenbrier West eases past Montcalm, 73-31. Hampshire gets one game closer to 500 on the season, knocking off 16-5 Frankfort with an 80-67 win over the Falcons. Musselman drops Hedgesville, 68-51. Sissonville, a 4-point win over the Hoover Huskies, 44-40. It was Liberty Harrison over Ritchie County, 54-45. Wyoming East 100. Liberty Raleigh 74. Martinsburg picks up their 17th win in Class AAA, 87-37 thrashing of the Washington Patriots. Midland Trail 88, Nicholas County 73. Scott knocks off Mingo Central 64-49. Morgantown stays undefeated, 19-0 now in Class AAA, 66-39 win over the Wheeling Park Patriots. Philip Barber 65, North Marion 54. Notre Dame over Tucker County 79-62. Shady Spring 57, Independence 49. Kaiser with a 3-point win over Southern Garrett, Maryland 61-58. The Princeton Tigers, one game closer to 500, now 7-8. We just heard from Wes McKinney talking about next team could get well above 500 on a nice 4-game run. They finish out the season. 63-59 winners tonight over the Westside Renegades. RCB with the upset of the night, knocking off Bridgeport 46-33. The Indians take loss number 2, the first in Class AA, the other one coming against number 1 AAA Huntington. Tug Valley 92, Valley Fayette 42. Cabell Midland falling to Nitro 70-59. South Charleston picking up a win over the GW Patriots 79-67. Spring Valley picking up its 4th straight win. Calvin Hinchman adds 18. Chandler Stacy with 16 as the Timberwolves roll past the Winfield Generals 57-48. We'll hear from Corey Maynard in just a few moments. The Van Bulldogs take a bite out of Pikeview 46-44. Hurricane with a 66-57 win over St. Albans. The Polka Dots take care of Charleston Catholic 62-35. The Dots 17-2, still undefeated in the state of West Virginia. Cross Lanes Christian 58, Greater Beckley Christian 47. Bluefield knocks off Greenbrier East 64-47. Taste Valley Christian winners over Ambassador Christian 72-40. And West Virginia School of the Deaf defeats Marie Phillip 47-41. Now to Ryan for the girls.
In sectional tournament play already underway in the Class A Region 4 Section 1 tournament, it was Parkersburg Catholic defeating Work County 51-23, and Doddridge County defeats Calhoun County 64-38. We'll try to work through some of the girls sectional tournament schedule a little bit later on tonight. Also, regular season play, actually, but first off, West Virginia Christian Association tournament. It was Wood County Christian defeating Greater Beckley Christian 56-39. Now regular season play. Greenbrier East goes to 17-2 with an 84-30 win over Pendleton County. It was East Fairmont over Webster County 69-32. Also tonight, girls high school basketball in the Mountain State. It was Summers County over Independence 88-30. Martinsburg defeats University 71-58. Bulldogs now 16-4. Jefferson goes to 15-5. The Cougars beat North Hagerstown, Maryland 78-59. Ridgewood over Tug Valley tonight in girls high school basketball 42-36. The Lady Jacks get the win. Tulsa gets a big win over Clay County. 40 points from Dina Gerald. You heard from her earlier in the program. Tulsa beats Clay County tonight 57-53. Clay County just their 6th loss of the season. It was Westside handling Scott 70-40. Princeton beats Riverview tonight 37-32. The North Marion Huskies defeat Grafton 83-67. East Hardy beats Moorfield tonight 45-24. And finally, the Maroon Knights of Wheeling Central Catholic beat Charleston Catholic 43-34. That is your basketballnight.com scoreboard update. As you heard on the boys' side, Spring Valley wins its 4th straight of the season as the Timberwolves get the win tonight. And joining us now on the phone is Corey Maynard. He's the head coach of the Timberwolves. And, Coach, nice win tonight for your ball club.
Oh, thank you. We needed it.
Spring Valley getting the win 57-48 over Winfield. And you've had a young ball club and one that I know that had faced some struggles early in the season. What has been the difference in these past 4 games where you've played very well as we hit the stretch run?
Well, we're just playing better as a team. You know, we're young and inexperienced, and it's been kind of a learning experience for you guys. Obviously, we lost a lot of production from Jacob and Greg Herbert last year, so everybody's just trying to find their role, and and they have in time here because we've played pretty well last 4 games.
Corey, you go across the river. They come across the river. You match up with Ashland. He went across the river last year, gave a nice beating over to the Tomcats. This time they come into your house, and one of the top teams in the 61st district or 64th district, excuse me, one of the top teams in the 16th region, and a lot of people saying that this Ashland team led by Christian Villers could really lead this Ashland team back to a 16th regional championship. You guys take care of them pretty handily. What was the game plan going in to be able to really limit this team and get away with a nice win?
Well, we need, obviously you got to do the best you can to slow Villers down, and we did that by face guarding him and his brother as well, because at halftime, they had 16 of their 19 points. So we really just did the ball the best we could, and the Christian still got 23, but we made it a tough 23 for him, and and we just had other guys play well. we went inside and had some success with that, and we just continued to go inside. And our defense has been playing better, and getting better every game and every day. So we did a pretty good job on them.
Corey, talk a bit about some of the personnel after a slow start. Chandler Stacy has been on fire lately, and also one of your two seniors, Calvin Henchman's really starting to hit his shots. But probably one of the biggest things has been the development of your freshman point guard, Grayson Malashevich. Hard to believe this time a year ago this guy was playing in the Wayne County Middle School Championship. But, man, he has been doing a great job running the ball club lately.
Oh, he's been doing great. We couldn't ask any more. He's really, controlling the offense and, distributing the ball, getting it to people in the right spots. He takes care of it very, very well. And, he's been doing a fantastic job. I mean, he's, to be a freshman and playing the hardest position on the court in this conference is tough. And he's done an exceptional job all year long. And, he's just going to continue to get better.
Corey, this is back-to-back seasons now that you've had to use an underclassman to run the point. Do you take last season and what you learned by having to do that, of being able to kind of get some pointers of how to deal with Malashevich this year to make certain you don't put too much on his plate too early?
Well, he understands the game. He's got a very, very high basketball IQ, and he understands the game. We started off the season a different route, and then he just continued to play and continue to develop. And by the, 6th, 7th game of the season, he was coming in and we needed to make that change and get him at the point. He actually came in against Huntington High and when we played them and did very, very well and showed that he could, handle running the point. And he's done it all year long.
Well, Corey, your regular season's over now. You've got a week to rest and practice and prepare for sectional play, right?
Yeah, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. We used to try to schedule a game in there the week before, and some things have happened, and we haven't been able to do that. So, it could work either way, but we got plenty of time off to get rested up, to go back and, after our sectional seedings come out on Tuesday, start preparing for who we play and can focus and have all our attention on that.
Spring Valley
actually worked out for us.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but the Spring Valley Timberwolves now 7-15, and winners of 4 straight, playing good basketball as they wind up their regular season with a win tonight over Winfield. And as you heard, we'll take a break before getting into sectional tournament play in a couple of weeks. Corey Maynard, the head coach of the Wolves, thanks for calling and thanks for talking with us tonight.
Thank you.
All right, we'll step aside, take a break, come back. We will switch valleys from Spring Valley to Tug Valley. We'll talk with Jordan Mounts, WFGH Radio. He had the call of the Panthers' big win tonight over Valley Fayette. That's when Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, the Mountain State's voice for all things high school basketball. Felicity Van Gilder, East Fairmont Lady Bees, Erica Bowles, Fairmont Senior Polar Bears, Madison Webb, Chapmanville Tigers, Dalton Gray, Webster County Highlanders. What they all have in common is they were selected by Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia as the Standout Athlete of the Week. Have someone remarkable on your team? Did you have an athlete make an outstanding play? You can nominate your team's players to become the Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. Each week, we consider nominees based on leadership, performance on the court, academic performance, involvement in the community, and volunteer work. Every Friday night, we select a Standout Athlete of the Week. Head over to our website, basketballnight.com, and click on the Standout Athlete of the Week tab. Fill out the nomination form, and we'll take it from there. We want you to nominate your team's athletes. Check it out at basketballnight.com. It's the Daily Hoops Roundup, part of basketballnight.com. Every day, we recap the day's scores just for you on all the teams in West Virginia. We send followers a tweet at midnight with a link to the Daily Hoops Roundup. You can also visit basketballnight.com and just click on Daily Hoops Roundup for all the day's scores. And we'd like for you to become part of our score reporting crew during the week, too. And if your team has a reschedule, let us know about that, too. Send us your team scores by Twitter, text, or email, and we'll make that part of our Daily Hoops Roundup. We want you to become part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family. On Twitter, follow us at @Hoops_Roundup, at @Hoops_Roundup. You can email scores and reschedules for your team to scores@basketballnight.com. Check it out at basketballnight.com. It's the Daily Hoops Roundup.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to Basketball Night in West Virginia with James Collier, Coach Rick Morrone, and Ryan Epling.
11:19 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Excuse me, madam. Did we do something wrong?
I'm wondering. I always get worried. I mean, again, those guys in the back are fantastic. The folks upstairs are too, but you just never know where they're going to go.
I'm waiting for a bump with Basketball Jones. That's one of my favorites.
Well, we know what we're going to hear next, but
that's a natural.
But I'll say this: that those words and those sounds are exactly what you hear anytime James Collier gets into his car.
Oh, guaranteed.
Watch out!
Watch out! Get off the roads! Get on the sidewalks!
We're having fun here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, 11:19, with you until midnight. Also tonight was a big win for Tug Valley as the Panthers roll Valley Fayette. 92-42 was the final in Smithers tonight. Making the trip from Naugatuck was Jordan Mounts, WFGH Radio, and Jordan, a nice, big, comfortable win tonight for the Panthers.
Yeah, Tug Valley really showed up to play basketball here today. They played 4 good quarters of basketball and played good team basketball. You know, no real player for the Panthers really stood out as being a superstar out there, but they played good team basketball. Had 21 assists on the night as a team, and just a great team win and a great win to build off of for Coach Eddie May.
Tonight was just the third game in 2 weeks. We talked 2 weeks ago after Tug Valley beat Man. They beat Greater Beckley Christian last Friday night. And this Friday night, tonight, they beat Valley Fayette. As seemingly just by the results, at least, those layoffs have not affected the Panthers adversely to this point.
You know, guys, when Tug Valley actually, now they were greatly affected by the layoff there, like you all were just mentioning. You know, but in ways you don't expect. You know, having that long layoff and then they actually had a game get canceled this week. And those boys ended up having to celebrate their senior night at a girls' basketball game. So 3 seniors for Tug Valley's basketball team. Unfortunately, they weren't able to have a home basketball game for their senior night. But you know, aside from that, no, the boys have stayed in practice, and and Coach Eddie May's done a good job at keeping his guys focused. And this is a good looking team going into the tournament, guys.
14-3 on the season, and some fun coming up. County rivalry with Mingo Central on the 23rd up on Minor Mountain, and then a trip to Hurricane next Thursday night. Tug Valley always one of those programs that doesn't shy away from anyone, but those are 2 very winnable ball games for Tug Valley, and also 2 games that will help the Panthers get ready for postseason play.
You know, guys, I couldn't agree with that more. You know, the game against Mingo Central, I know Mingo Central hasn't had the strongest of years there. I know they're a young team, and it's Garland Thompson's first year, so a little bit of a adjustment there, getting used to a new coach. But nonetheless, that's, like you said, that's an in-county rivalry, and these two schools love to hate each other when they play each other. So it's definitely going to be a great game between those two schools. And and like you also said, the game against Hurricane, we've played them once already this year. Did walk away with a victory, but that was a very, very hard game for us for the Pan. Definitely going to be a good match up there when we go up there to their place.
Should be a lot of fun. Tug Valley, one of those schools that always seems to be in it and puts good quality basketball teams on the floor year in, year out. Jordan Mounts, WFPH Radio. Thanks so much for calling, and hopefully you've had a safe trip back to Naugatuck tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me on.
All right. Definitely appreciate Jordan giving us a call. And all right, here's another one of those situations. We're kind of going back to a repeat of the Rick Morrone incident from earlier tonight when we weren't sure if we had him. He could hear us, but we couldn't hear him. We got that all sorted out. I understand we have Bo Anderson, our resident referee. Am I correct back there? All right. I'm told I am. I like it when they tell me I'm right. That doesn't happen very often. So our resident referee, Bo Anderson, is with us now. Bo, welcome to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
I thought my phone had gone kaput or something.
We managed to not put you on hold all that long tonight, I don't think. I don't actually have the number tonight.
Well, wait just a minute. Oh, what's that? 44 minutes and 49 seconds.
He's keeping
Wasn't too
score.
bad.
Get a hobby.
Hey, we appreciate it, Bo. Hey, we always see things throughout the course of our basketball coverage, and something that our resident referee, Bo Anderson, brings is he helps us kind of figure out what the rule is in certain situations, what it is or what should be called or why something was called. And we always appreciate him. And he lets us give him a difficult time, too, and we appreciate that also. But one thing we've talked about is how the home book or the official book has to wear stripes to show the official that they are the official scorekeeper. My question to you is, Bo, and this is a situation that happened a few weeks ago. When the official scorekeeper is thrown out by a referee, what happens?
Well, you can you can do a couple of things there. One, if the home team doesn't have someone else that's competent enough to keep the scorebook, you could switch, and actually the referee could designate the visiting team's book as the official book. Obviously, a special report would also be sent in about that, and hopefully the school would deal with that individual who was keeping the book for the game. I had a thing once where the home team's bookkeeper couldn't make it off of their hill a couple years ago, and the coach that was keeping or that had the home bookkeeper, he come and told me that his daughter is going to keep the book, but she has never kept the book before, and would appreciate if we would designate the visiting book, which was a lady who had done it for many years, and he trusted her, her not.
Silence.
I think we just lost him.
He was on a roll too.
I know, and he was building to the explanation too. Like
it's like,
and I just feel
just
a void.
Yeah,
there's a void there.
Was he captured by Rick Morrone? That's my second tee. I'm out of here.
Yeah, you don't get to go home early though, James.
Oh man. I tried Morrone's antics last week. That's what he had. He was going for two. He had 2 tees before 11.
Yeah, I've got to say something though. I've been to about 4 girls basketball games this year. One game, one coach got ejected. There was a technical foul in the game I went to last night. Calm down. I promise you, watching these games, these weren't like blatantly poor things to get upset about.
Well, the thing, I always had a rule as a coach. Okay, if the officiating warranted it, or some nights it's not even the officials, it's the fact of maybe the plays aren't going the way that they need to go. The players need a little bit of a lift, and sometimes a coach getting teed up can lift that spark. I've gone to refs before and say, I'm not sitting down, you give me one. And I know that I'm going to get my one tee. I'll take my one technical, but that is my also cutoff. I'm not going to get the second one. If I've never had 2 technical fouls. I've had one. I've deserved 2. And I told an official that one night. I told him I wouldn't have argued with him if he gave me 2. It would have been the best call he made all year.
Well, some people accused John Calipari last Saturday of intentionally getting a second technical.
I think he had a family affair he had to get to. I think that's what it was.
Like 3 minutes into the game.
And of course, Kentucky absolutely just devastates South Carolina in the game with Cal off the bench.
Well, I understand we have Bo back with us, and Bo, you were telling us a story about the home bookkeeper not being. The home coach was having his daughter have to keep the book because their normal bookkeeper couldn't get off the hill, and he asked that the visiting book be delegated as the official book. You can pick up from there.
No.
All right.
And the crickets keep chirping.
Well, that's okay. Hey, Bo, get a good night's rest. We'll talk with Bo again next week, and we certainly appreciate him calling in.
Tell you another thing I've noticed, and officials like Bo have their hands full right now. Several games, boys and girls, last couple of weeks I have seen, games have been getting a lot more physical. It seems like that the kids are getting used to how the game's being called now, and they're kind of pushing the envelope. I've seen a lot of body contact, a lot of pushing and shoving, elbows and so forth. Maybe it's just end of the year, just jitters or whatever, or just hostility.
Well, Billy C., I've been covering a lot of games last month over in Kentucky, and it's amazing how much difference the officiating is at the JV level as compared to the varsity level. Now, again, you have three officials at the varsity level. You only have 2 at JV, but you're right. The physicality at the middle school and the JV level, freshman ball level, it's much more physical for the most part. Now, I'm not saying that you take anything away from what they do down in the paint, but they're not hacking each other to death. I mean, they're beating and banging around trying to get position and go for the basketball, but it's not just basically bring your brass knucks and go down to the backyard park and have a good day.
If you bring a knife, I'll bring a gun.
Exactly. But it's one of those things. We have to, not to get off on a tangent, but we have to show the kids how to play at the correct level so that when they get to the varsity level, they know how to play the game the right way.
What cracked me up about yesterday was that this was not the official who gave the tee, but this was actually the official started to yell back at the coach after, like, just stop.
That's always fun.
It wasn't yelling in like it wasn't an abusive manner or anything like that, but it was just like, enough, man. Like,
enough.
This guy, he officiates college basketball. Like, that's the first time I've seen him do a high school game, and he just.
And the official was throwing in the life preserver.
You know how they chirp in college. But he just had enough.
Well, my rule as an official or as an umpire, I would sit there and listen. I would let them get their. If I folded my arms, I was done. I didn't want to hear anything else. And at that point, either someone was getting tossed or someone was getting a technical. That was my stop sign.
We've got to step aside, take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about a bill that just went through the West Virginia legislature called the Tim Tebow bill and how it will affect high school sports in West Virginia should it pass completely through. I think it still had to go to the Senate, but I'll double check on that. Also, a situation from just across the river in Kentucky, but something that came up to mind. 2 teams played a doubleheader. Yeah, they played a game.
In basketball.
Finished it.
Not baseball.
And tipped it up again.
Tossed it up, played another 4 quarters. Is that a good idea or not? We'll talk about that when Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
There's absolutely no better place to be than right here. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Don't forget the poll question. Check it out at basketballnight.com. Each week, we've got a new poll question just for you. It's another way you can interact with the show. Basketball Friday Night, West Virginia's high school voice. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. A big shout out to all of our new Twitter followers, including Ryan Jones at CRJonesWV, William M. Richards at Lefty1972, Pusha C at Cole Lambert53, J. Mark Gladwell at MB Wildcat Hoops, Travis Martin, Haley Butcher, Ty at Tyler_242424, Jody Basil, R at Taxi431, WVHS Sports, S Boggs at GuardGirl76, and Wayne Young. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. A big thank you to all of our Twitter followers giving us schedule updates, scores, and updates on their teams. Welcome to the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family. You're part of the best basketball show in the Mountain State. It's the Daily Hoops Roundup, part of BasketballNight.com. Every day we recap the day's scores just for you on all the teams in West Virginia. We send followers a tweet at midnight with a link to the Daily Hoops Roundup. You can also visit BasketballNight.com and just click on Daily Hoops Roundup for all the day's scores. And we'd like for you to become part of our score reporting crew during the week too. And if your team has a reschedule, let us know about that too. Send us your team scores by Twitter, text, or email, and we'll make that part of our Daily Hoops Roundup. We want you to become part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to Basketball Night in West Virginia with James Collier, Coach Rick Morrone, and Ryan Epling.
11:34 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. It's the fastest 3 hours in radio. Ryan Epling, James Collier, and Bill Cornwell. We play at a fast pace. We like fast pace.
I love fast pace.
So we go fast pace too.
Run and gun.
Yep, that's how we operate. Speaking though of things that situations, and we like to always kind of look for a broader picture topic at some point every week. This week, it's the bill in the West Virginia legislature about high school sports. It's called the Tim Tebow rule, and it was passed by the West Virginia State Senate already. It is in the House. So if the House makes any amendments, it'll have to go back to the Senate. But if the House approves it, then it goes into effect.
The SSAC has already come out very much anti on this bill. They really are planning to fight this as best they can in the House.
And here's what it is. It's called the Tim Tebow bill, and I'll explain that. Tim Tebow did not attend public high school, but was still able to play football for a public high school at Nice High School in Florida. What this rule does is it allows kids who are homebound to play on the public school team in their area. Also, there's another little caveat to this. Mm-hmm. It allows kids who are enrolled at private schools to play a sport at a public school that their private school does not offer.
Yeah.
It's obviously got some positives and negatives to it. I don't think we have the full gist of it. I haven't been able to sit down and read the whole bill because, quite frankly, legalese just gives me a headache. But it seems on the surface kind of like a no-brainer. Like, why would you even consider doing this?
The first thing that jumps in my head when you say that a school, a player, or a student that goes to a private school could go to a public school to play a sport that is not offered there. Can you say borrow athletes?
Well, I was thinking of some examples right here in Capital County. Say a student's at Huntington St. Joe and likes to swim. They don't have a swim team, I don't think, at the St. Joe. So do you go to Huntington High? Do you go like, hey, Huntington High, can I be on your team? Football's another thing. St. Joe doesn't have a football team.
Well, and then what dictates where that player has to go. Is it have to be the school that is closest to them, or they just have free reign that they can just run around? Because then you open it up to a whole new world of recruiting, basically.
That's in the bill. I believe it is the public school district in which you live in.
Yeah.
There's also a situation where that came up of grades. Well, it still goes by. If you are in a school, an SSAC sanctioned school, and don't make the grades to be eligible to play, and then go homebound, you are still bound by your previous semester.
I think that's at least a very smart.
That's a big.
Yeah,
that's a big caveat.
That is a
within
2.0. You have to have a C average to be eligible. That's one thing. The SSAC. I know that this was discussed. I heard it discussed on Hoppy Kercheval's Metro News Talk line yesterday. Their biggest concern is that you're going to have students that are going to be homeschooled and are not going to meet that 2.0 parameter. And how are you going to determine that? Are you going to just take their word for it? Now, apparently there is provision where they have to have a portfolio to prove that they are meeting standardized tests and that they are doing all their work and do meet the standards. But again, I just don't know if there's a objective way of determining if that's legit. I've argued this before because this has been a bill that's been very prominent in the South, not just Florida with Tebow, but a lot of states in the South, because there's a lot of kids for religious reasons, for social reasons, and sometimes I think kind of nefarious reasons are homeschooled, and I have always personally had a problem with it. My opinion, if the school's not good enough for you to attend, it's not good enough for you to play for. That's always been my thought on it, and I know that makes a lot of people mad because a lot of the parents will say, well, we pay taxes to support that school, but our kid don't attend, so we're not getting anything for our tax dollar.
Well, you choose not to attend, though.
True.
Yeah, you make a choice.
You make the choice.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think there are good arguments to be made on both sides of this. Honestly, there are some provisions within it that I think make a lot of sense. Now, here's what I want to bring up. A friend of mine went to Tulsa High School. Would have been a state championship caliber track athlete. Don't have track. Nope. Don't have a track team. He could not run for another school, could not run for his own school. He couldn't compete. He wasn't even allowed to compete in the state tournament or to any of the meets.
Even as an individual.
As an individual, right. And that's a situation where you're talking about an individual could not represent his own school and practice with another school even, or represent that school in competition
because they didn't have a constituted team.
Right.
Now the way things
bothers
now the way things work in Kentucky, just one state over, is whether it's a private school or an independent school, what have you, if a school does not have a sport that is within the body of your school district, a surrounding school, you may go to that school and play. So, for instance, my child, he goes to Raceland Independent School. They do not have a soccer team. The next closest school to Raceland that does have that is Russell. Yeah. So he could go to Russell and play soccer. But he is still bound by Raceland Independent. Same thing happens with Rose Hill. They do not have a football team. They go to Boyd County to play football.
And see, I'm actually more okay with that.
Yeah, because it's so cut and dry. It's okay. You are bound to your school. You can go to the closest school district in your school district, wherever your school district is, and you can play only that sport. You can't go there and start playing every other sport because you become an athlete there. It's only the sport that is not offered by your school district. And I'm okay with that because, like you said, then you get a situation to where you do have some kids that are swimmers, they are track runners, and they may not have that program there. So it gives them an opportunity to expose their skills as well. And I think it's a very important thing because some student athletes never get the opportunity because they just don't have the athlete part of the program.
it's going to be interesting to see how hard the SSAC lobbies members of the House, because that passed in the Senate pretty well. Now, if it does pass the House, and I figure it's going to pass in the House, I would bet that Governor Tomlin will veto it, and it'll be interesting. Does it get back to the legislature for an override vote in time for the end of the session?
I wonder if they amend. I'd like to see if there are going to be amendments. Because, again, this is something that is still in process of going through the legislature.
Yeah, there are a lot of people in the state, I think, that are finally realizing what's being considered down there, and they're starting to, as we have just discussed, let their feelings be known that there are some problems with this. And now there's certain groups that, especially religious homeschoolers, that they've been dying to have this approved, and those maybe on the kind of the right side of the political spectrum, that this has been a big thing for them all over the South. Now it's getting into West Virginia, and they've had some legislative successes, and they think this might be another one. But again, I think some people are starting to realize, whoa, let's kind of hold the wagon up on this one.
Right, and this, I think this will end up making for a good poll question. And I've got the wording for the bill. Again, it's very legalese. It's kind of hard to kind of navigate through. It's pretty lengthy, but I'll see if we can have Marcus post a link to it on our website. Because if we just put it on the front of our website, you wouldn't see anything else but that. So we'll work on that with him. See that? I just volunteered Marcus something else to do.
He's
right?
sitting here, but he's probably already got it finished. So
yeah, well,
he's ready to launch.
That's true. Marcus is always he's ready to go right then.
And it'll launch in 1 minute, because that's what our poll question launches at 11:45 every Friday night.
Absolutely. So there's that situation. The other situation, we talked about how some teams have had trouble getting games in. And again, I know we've mentioned Kentucky a lot tonight, and for our listeners who are up in the eastern panhandle of West Virginia or the northern panhandle, this is something that is closer to home for us, but I'm sure that you have similar situations in Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, Ohio, bordering states there as well.
And if you do, please send that to us, because, I mean, like you said, Kentucky is very close to us. Ohio is very close to us, because that's where we're rooted.
We're familiar with
that because we're kind of intertwined in those programs. But I would love to hear what systems Maryland is using, Virginia, Pennsylvania. Are they using similar styles of that we just don't get the opportunity to hear about because it is 6 hours away? But, of our listeners up in the Eastern Panhandle, please send us any of that information that you hear, because, I mean, this is a very interesting idea of, especially one of the things we've talked about, when you get backed up because of cancellations. Is this a good way to fix things?
Right. 2 games in 1 day is what we're talking about. We're talking about a girls basketball team in Kentucky. They have a girl who's scored over 5,000 career points. Her name's Whitney Creech. She's signed with Western Kentucky University at Jenkins High School in Kentucky. They played 2 games Thursday night with Cordia. That was Wednesday night, excuse me. They played Cordia back-to-back. They played the first game. Jenkins won 111-21. Took a few minutes. Tossed it up again, played 32 more minutes, and Jenkins won 86-7.
197-21 combined score
out of 64 minutes.
And by the way, Jenkins lost tonight. They're about a 500 team, even with the girl who scored 5,000 career points and had 71 in an overtime win earlier this year.
And that was on a night that she needed 68 to break 5,000, and they go to overtime, and she scores 71 in an overtime game.
Just absurd.
You can't say that she's running it up.
No. We've got to step aside, take a break. We'll come back. We'll get you a final scoreboard update. We'll get you our poll question. We'll wrap things up and put a bow on it here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Not a Bo Anderson or a Bo Miller, none of those bows. Just a bow with a W. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, the Mountain State's voice for all things high school basketball. A special thanks tonight to all of our affiliates. You can listen to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia throughout the Mountain State on great radio stations including 94 Rock, WRLF Fairmont, Talk 92.5, WTHM LP, Ravenswood, Ripley, Power 92 Radio, 92.3 FM WIRC LP Spencer, 104.5 FM WASP WAPLP Huntington, 97.9 FM WSPWLP Parkersburg, 101.1 FM WVWP Wayne, Knights Radio, 91.5 FM WRSG Middleburn, 106.7 FM WHFI Linside, 101.9 FM and 1290 AM WVOW Logan, 90.7 FM WFGH Fort K, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZLP Edmond, Beckley, 101.7 FM WYAPLP Clay, Marshall University's flagship station, 88.1 FM WMUL Huntington. Cable subscribers can find Basketball Friday Night in the Huntington region on Comcast Channel 25 and Armstrong Digital Channel 204. Streaming online high-definition video can be found on our website, basketballnight.com, and on affiliate rsnsports.com. Listen online with any computer or mobile device by going to basketballnight.com and click on Listen Live. If you think you missed something on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, you can now go to the Apple iTunes Store and download the podcast. You can find us by searching Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia in the iTunes Store. Subscribing is simple and completely free. Podcasts are also available directly on basketballnight.com. Check it out and you can listen and watch all the past shows. Go to basketballnight.com.
Knew this boy, young ball player. Name of Gabe York, see. Call him Young.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to Basketball Night in West Virginia with James Collier, Coach Rick Morrone, and Ryan Epling.
Ask and you receive, right?
Oh, yeah.
There it is.
There it is, Billy C.
I'm doing it.
We just let that just roll out.
I'm weaving.
This is great video on basketballnight.com. Hey, guys, we are actually running tight on time, so let's just jump right into the scoreboard. We'll do winners only in this one. All scores are available on basketballnight.com and our Twitter feed at hoops_roundup. James just knock out the boys' winners, and I'll knock out the girls' winners with our basketballnight.com scoreboard update. You hit the cue.
You just had to hit the right button. Yeah. Here we go. Basketballnight.com scores for the boys. All winners here this evening. The Cameron Dragons, Moorfield, Petersburg, Valley Wetzel, Meadowbridge, Brooke, Calhoun County, the Maroon Knights, Lincoln County, Chapmanville, Grafton, Fayetteville, Greenbrier West. Again, all of these winners. Hampshire, Musselman, Sissonville, Liberty Harrison, Wyoming East, Martinsburg, Midland Trail, Scott, Morgantown stays undefeated, Philip Barber, Notre Dame, Shady Spring, Kaiser, Princeton, RCB with an upset over Bridgeport, Mountain View Christian, Tug Valley, Nitro, South Charleston, Parkersburg, Spring Valley, Van, Hurricane, Poca, Crosslanes Christian, Bluefield, Taze Valley Christian, and West Virginia School of the Deaf. Again, all of those winners on the boys.
On the girls' side, Wood County Christian beats Greater Beckley Christian in the WVCAT tournament. In the sectional tournament, Parkersburg Catholic eliminates Work County. Doddridge County eliminates Calhoun County in Class A Region 4 Section 1. Other winners tonight in girls' high school basketball: Greenbrier East, East Fairmont, Summers County, Martinsburg, Jefferson, Richwood, Tulsa, Westside, Princeton, North Marion, East Hardy, and Wheeling Central Catholic all pick up wins tonight in girls high school basketball. That is your basketballnight.com scoreboard update. Tight on time, but we got one chance to go to the phone lines, and Rick Kozlowski. Unfortunately, we were running late, so we've got Rick with us here from the Martinsburg Journal. We're going to knock out this phone call.
He's been at the Tough Man.
Ah. Kaz, how you doing tonight?
I'm about to box down.
No rebounding.
And I wasn't rebounding. No, you guys beat me to that one. Yeah.
I got you on
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah.
so you won your fight, right?
But I followed. I'm sorry.
We were joking. You said you were the tough man. I said, so you won your fight, right?
I always win.
Yeah.
Unless you talk to my wife.
Well,
that's a never-winning battle.
No, you cannot win that battle. Go ahead, Cause.
Absolutely. Well, I as I was watching the matches outside, was following the scoreboard on the Twitter site, and I saw that Martinsburg had a huge win, which they're playing their best basketball right now, which makes tomorrow's game with visiting Morgantown very intriguing. That was they played Morgantown tight for a time up in Morgantown a few weeks ago, which was right after the big snowstorm, and Martinsburg basically had one practice going into that game. Now it's on Martinsburg's home floor. Morgantown has to travel. That's going to be an intriguing match tomorrow. And last week I also said that I thought Musselman was still struggling from its 3-point loss a few weeks ago to Martinsburg when they had an opportunity to win the game. And it looks like the Applemen might be back. A pretty decisive victory over Hedgesville tonight. And so it's looking good.
Sectional and regional play.
Basketball.
Yeah, sectional and regional play starting up on the girls' side. Sectional play, some games were tonight and a bunch more tomorrow. And on the boys' side here, still about a week away from beginning that. But a game next week for Martinsburg with Spring Mills. Spring Mills has had still in its infant stages. So Martinsburg seems to be playing very well. As you said, should be a great matchup tomorrow with Morgantown. Rick, always a pleasure. And sorry we didn't get to talk much longer tonight.
Well, yeah, my apologies, too. Normally this thing doesn't go as long tonight, but, oh, well, you got to fly now, right?
Hey, thank you, Rocky Balboa.
Hey, you got that reference, right? Okay, there you go.
Because we got a burning heart.
You guys have a great weekend.
All right.
You too. Thanks, Rick.
You too, Rick. Always a lot of fun with Cause. And yes, I just knocked out a movie reference from 1976.
Atta boy.
And I knocked out a Rocky IV there.
Yeah, 1985. All right.
There we go. We need a poll question.
Marcus, save us.
All right, Ryan. First of all, we'll go to last week's poll question. Under what circumstances, if any, should Sunday games and or practices be allowed? 49% of voters said never. 33% say only when the end of the season gets too busy with postponed games by WVSSAC determination, and only 18% of voters say that Sunday games and practices should always be allowed. Now we'll go on to this week's poll question. It's available right now. You can go to basketballnight.com and put in your vote. What are your thoughts on the so-called Tim Tebow bill, which would allow homeschooled students to play sports at WVSSAC schools? Do you support the bill or do you oppose the bill? You have until next Friday at 11:45 to cast your vote. Head on over basketballnight.com.
Thank you very much, Marcus, and got some good Creed in there as well. That's right. I've hit every Rocky reference.
So you're just knocking Rocky out.
I'm a big fan of the Rocky
series. I love Rocky.
I mean,
up to
really
Rocky IV. I wasn't a big Rocky V fan.
Right. The Rocky Balboa is a good movie, and then Creed is great.
I haven't seen Creed yet. My son saw it. He said it was okay. It was a little
Your
dry.
son's not going to understand.
But that's the thing is he's not going to understand because he's
enough.
not old enough to be able to go through all that. So I guess that makes sense. But
Bill,
big one tomorrow.
Yeah.
Martinsburg and Morgantown. If Morgantown holds on, it's crazy to think that we could obviously have a matchup for the state championship if this team in Huntington runs in that the runner-up of the state is going to have one loss.
Yeah, that could be incredible. And let me give a big shout out to in Martinsburg and Berkeley County too. Their maintenance department able to get the roof leak taken care of. Always appreciate it when a work order is put in and gets taken care of by the folks who are paid to do so. And definitely, that speaks volumes of what they were able to do.
And we had two games tonight, but for next week, girls, bring on sectional basketball. I'm ready.
It's playoff time.
I'm ready for the postseason. I'm ready to fly. How about you guys?
I'll be in Tuscaloosa next week.
Yeah, you're going to see some of the top softball teams
I'll have
in the country.
Alabama, Tennessee, and Arizona all nationally ranked, although Tennessee got run ruled for the first time in almost 6 years tonight.
Yeah. You know the Elephants are happy there because they're Tuscaloosa.
Always a good time. We want to say a big thank you to our folks behind the scenes who do such a fantastic job here on basketballnight.com. I feel like I'm ready to run the steps.
I got to do that over the summer. I'm ready. I'm right there with you, man. Let's go.
I'm ready. Yeah, and it's nice and comfortable outside. It's cool. It's nice. Love it. So for all those guys behind the scenes and for our crew upstairs as well, and for Bill Cornwell, for James Collier, I'm Ryan Epling. Thanks for watching or listening to, however you get our show, Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. And we'll be back with you next week from 9 to midnight. Postseason play for girls and boys will be underway 1 week from tonight. Thank you for listening. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Tune in next Friday for the latest high school basketball action from across the Mountain State. Visit basketballnight.com for our show archives, the poll question of the week, and the basketballnight.com scoreboard. Until next time, have a great weekend, and thank you for listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. The preceding broadcast was a presentation of the Fast Break Sports Network. Copyright 2016. All rights reserved.